On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, the dudes will be joined by Marti Matulis, aka Vane, the space pirate from Skeleton Crew. Tune in to hear from Marti on his time working on Skeleton Crew and the Mandalorian as Vane. Find out what it's like to get turned into some of the wild characters he's gotten to bring to life throughout his career. The homies will also break down Episode 8 of Skeleton Crew with some possible cast insights from Vane himself. So yeah, you don't want to miss this show again. Of course, they'll end the show with the Question of the Week responses and the latest round of top hard Star Wars fan artist features. Bunch of Chewie.
Hey now, everybody! Welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show, and I screwed up the intro. He's already being shown off. I was going to try and surprise everyone with this week's special guest, but screw it. We'll do it live. Look who has joined the show, Mr. Marti Matulis. If you don't know who Marti is, you just saw him last night. If you watched Skeleton Crew, hunting down little kids, shooting at them. He doesn't care. He's a space pirate. That's right. We're talking to Vane of the Mandalorian and Skeleton Crew fame. But you should know, Marti has over 20 years of experience in creature performances. He's kind of a stud when it comes to putting suits on and emoting through prosthetics. He's had roles in Star Trek, Star Wars, American Horror Story, Teen Wolf, Studio 666, Evil, Smile. He's all over the place. If you went and saw Red One, you saw him in that movie too. Remember the slap fight with Krampus and the ref there, that like raven looking thing? That is my man, Marti Matulis. So welcome to the show, Marti. I'm so appreciative that you could join, especially right after that excellent finale of Skeleton Crew. Good to have you.
Good to be here. Can you just follow me around and do that all the time? I don't really have to do anything. In fact, it was great. Thanks.
I'll be your hype man, sure. Yeah, I'll sit in Justin's trunk. We can go around to the cons and wheel me out with a mic and a spotlight, and we're off to the races. So. That's right. Well, it's good to have you here. Like I said, I mean, it's awesome. I feel very special to be graced by a real deal Star Wars actor. As I said, Marti's been in both The Mandalorian and now recently in Skeleton Crew playing Vane the pirate. A pirate some of us, I think, in the fandom thought might have, had a little higher of a position in amongst the space pirates we met in Skeleton Crew. But like I said, in the finale, let's just get right to it, man. Vane finally got his due. Like, he got some good screen time. It seemed like you were kind of the lead pirate of terrorizing the At-Atten citizens. You got that excellent chase scene with the kids. What was that like? I mean, how did you guys film that? You did. Well, you got Neil. You at least took Neil's bike out, right? You guys at least blew up Neil. Uh-oh. They're telling me there's no audio. Sorry, Marti. They're saying from you, which I don't understand because we should be getting audio from Marti. Oh, his audio is very low is what they're saying. Hold on. Let me try to fix that. Let me try and fix that, people. Sorry about that. I don't think it's you, Marti. That's probably a me thing.
Automated anyway.
All right. Can everyone hear Marti now? Maybe.
How are we doing now? Do we have volume?
Oh, bummer.
It's all right. We can work this out. We've got time.
We can't hear Marti. I don't know what to tell you, people. I mean, nothing's muted. I hear them perfectly. They're saying barely.
Barely?
Yeah, I've literally have your mic blown out at like.
Well, interesting.
It's all right.
That's all I got to say about that.
Turn his side up more. All right, I'm turning up all the guest feeds.
Max, give me all the things.
How's that? Like he's literally Max. Better? How's that, people?
And I'm good here. Like I'm blowing myself out. That's pretty good. Hello.
All right.
Hello.
All right.
Hello.
Okay. They're saying perfect. Yeah? All right. Sorry about that, people. You know what? That's my fault.
What were we talking about?
I should have done a damn test before we went on. Yeah, we were talking about the chase scene last night where we Vane. Yep. We had the three kids and Wendell on the bike.
That was so good. So good. In my mind, anytime I was on my bike as a kid, that's kind of what was happening. Yeah. Are we good on the volume? Should we just keep rolling now?
Yeah, you keep going. I'll worry about.
Let's just do that.
I'll feed them.
Well, tying that in, like obviously in the finale, Vane had more to do. I think he was kind of in charge of the whole dropship attack. Gunter took charge of the big ship while Jod was off doing his thing. When we were shooting it, obviously I don't really know anything about who's doing what or who's going to play how much. I knew that in my mind, I was going to kind of see where the opportunities were for Vane to kind of rise up in the ranks as if he had just flown over there in episode 1 from Mandalorian episode 5 when he flew away. So I did kind of laugh, like I let him hold back. And the episode 1 when there's that drop ship thing where the tubes come in and they board.
Yeah.
In that opening scene.
Yeah.
I was in that tube, but I was literally hiding behind the guy in front of me. And at one point I was like, hey, can I grab your shoulder and kind of use you as a shield? I thought if his like horns or costume showed, it's his first day on the job. The last thing he wants is to get a laser right in the eyeball.
Yeah. So you use human shields for that type of entry.
Yeah. And then when we got to the vault, they were, the alliances shift at any word or any empty vault. So when the vault was empty, I was like, I'm going to wait and see what everyone else does before I do anything. So if you look, like everyone draws on Jod pretty quick. And I think I'm a little delayed because I'm like, I'm just going to go along with the crowd for now until I can see a moment. And that was never dissuaded. So I kind of kept that angle. Like each time I came back for an episode, I'd see if he could like up his status a little bit because I knew they were going to keep giving him things to do. So if he had a little more confidence every time, might seem like he was trying to rise in the ranks throughout the show for however much of the show he was going to be a part of.
You know what? I'm glad you bring that up because it does. That's kind of how it felt. I mean, you and I, we were talking before we went live, and I think from a fandom perspective, Vane was kind of touted almost as the bridge character between meeting pirates and the Mandalorian, and then having pirates kind of playing the antagonist and Skeleton Crew. And I like that.
The internet sure do get excited.
Well, I mean, come on, Marty. We had the Vane statue at what was it, D23 or whatever. I mean, it was you, Brutus, SM33. Yeah. I mean,
you make a Lego out of a guy, and everyone starts expecting great things from him.
Do you have the Vane Lego? I'm hoping.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah. Good. But I was going to ask you, and I think you started to touch on it a bit, but because, Vane was starting in Mandalorian, like you said, I mean, he was you were the first mate to Gorian Shan, the Pirate King, or whatever his name was.
Salad guy, Gorian Shard.
Yeah, Gorian Shard. There you go. But you could tell in the Mandalorian that, Vane, he had those pirate tendencies. He was always looking for an opportunity to maybe make his bag or make his name. So did you kind of transitioning from Mandalorian over to Skeleton Crew, did you come up with some headcanon? Like you said, I think I heard you right when you're like, yeah, I just kind of believe that Vane almost just showed up to, Brutus or Captain Silvo's frigate soon after he left the fight on Navarro. Yeah,
to the extent that anything I do is going to be relevant, it just gives me something to do and something to think about, whether it's appropriate or not, because obviously they don't really tell us or give us any backstory when you're one of the cogs. But this particular cog of Vane, I thought, based on what he did in Mandalorian, he definitely kind of took charge of the shootout. He knew what he was doing. He needed to get Grief Karga out and kind of stir things up. Then they put him into the dogfight scene. I was like, okay, well, he can hold his own against Mandalorian, who's got to be a pretty capable flyer. He's got some skills. Why not see if he can get control of the entire pirate ship? Except what I think is he just runs afoul of his own ego, his own desire for stealing credits, and he's maybe a little too concerned with his fashion sense. He's kind of a fancy dresser.
He does look pretty slick compared to some of those other schlubs there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it might take his focus off the real thing, which is more like how do you take command of the other crew? He's only doing it for himself. He's a very self-centered pirate, which sometimes works out. Sometimes he didn't die.
Okay, so. I was gonna say Vane lives.
At least I didn't see him die.
Vane lives? Question mark.
Right. I mean, it's question mark for me too. We were shooting the drop ship stuff, and then there was a couple little bits at the end where the drop ships land, and they talked about Kona coming out as she did, and then they kind of take off. And so I was left like, we didn't shoot anything for it. I didn't know what happened. I've been waiting for 2 years to find out what happened. I didn't see him. He was there, and then it went over to the other ships, and then they all just kind of were maybe
no bodies, so there's opportunities to be resurrected. That's for sure.
Indeed.
I mean,
as we know,
let's be real. The New Republic literally blew up a frigate right over top a major metropolitan area. So there's a good chance it didn't crash hard enough to blow up everybody and kill Gunther. So maybe if we get hopefully if we get a season 2. We'll see all you guys maybe locked up in a New Republic cell. I don't know. Or unless that little skiff you were on was enough to get you out of the atmosphere and away from Mad Atten.
I feel like they're going to need a few resources and maybe a nice garage to kind of pump the tires back up on those things. But a few of those made it, as you said, like the big crashed ship. I think the main part took a nice little soft dip into the water after the other one augured in.
Yeah.
There's some pirate activity still going on there at Atten.
Excellent. When you were shooting that chase scene in the finale, is that all volume? Are you on are you actually on that physical skiff there? It's just like a hydraulic thing or whatever?
That whole sequence, that was not on the volume. That was over on a stage. I think we had either blue or green screen background, and we were up on rotating and tilting gimbal, cameras and lights flying by, and depending on which thing they were shooting at any particular time, they'd either be above us, below us, around us, or they'd rotate the ship around. I think the coolest thing, technically for me, one of the things was okay, we're going to do this, but do all of your actions at half speed. So I think it was when the get after him, he's kind of rallying everyone up and the ship kind of peeled away.
Yeah.
We were literally going, it was kind of odd. I think just to make the effect work, however, why ever they needed to do that, I don't know. But
because
other than that, it was pretty just making sure I didn't fall off the boat.
John Watts directed the finale, right?
Yeah.
So was he just calling out to you guys? Because I got a shot of you up on the screen right now. Vane's just kind of up there shooting in the air. Is he just like, hey, Marty, shoot your gun? Or is he just like, you guys just act like pirates and wave your guns around and hardy, har, that type of stuff?
To be honest, I don't remember if John was there for that, for the drop ship stuff. I think he was probably off with the kids and Jude. That might have been second unit stuff. It's been so long, and honestly, once you get shuttled in and made up and then thrown onto the boat, I can't see who's doing anything at that point. So it was kind of a run and gun deal.
How limited is your vision then in the Vane mask?
It's actually pretty good. It's just that because I'm wearing contact lenses, the pupils don't change. So we were on a pretty dark set. And so, I'm looking through a little tube sometimes when the pupils are fixed and mine want to get more light. So, you kind of know where you're at. You can see things, but everything's just a little darker than it should be. So yeah, that was pretty much it. They bring you out, they put you up on the thing, and then someone out in the background by Video Village says, "All right, put your gun up in the air." So I'm just following the rules at that point and literally just trying to maintain my balance on that thing as it's kind of rocking and rolling.
You said you've been waiting 2 years to see the finished product here. When you were on set, did you get to see any of the dailies, like any of the rough cuts where, before the effects were put in, or They didn't let you guys buy the monitors.
No. And it's it's rough being an editor or a shooter, which I have been for as long as I've been an actor, because I want to know how things are going to go together.
Right.
Which also helps me. It also helps me as an actor knowing like what they're going to come from or what they're going to cut to, because then I can help by giving options that would allow an easier range of edit points. So I don't know anything. They just throw you up there, you do your thing, and you walk away, and you're kind of like, I mean, I hope, you never know. But I will say that when we shot the episode 5 Mandalorian, the asteroid fight, I was brought into that after they decided to not kill him off in episode 1. So because some time had passed between those two, they wanted to kind of refresh me on what I had done in the episode 1, and refresh me on the accent, and also kind of let me know what was going on. So I got to see the previs, the animatics for that fight.
All right.
A couple of completed effects, some kind of like 2D stuff. But I felt like that was probably kind of a rarity.
Hey, since you brought it up,
yeah.
So it is true that you were supposed to be one and done as Vane in the Mando. What changed that? I mean, was it your ability to actually perform under all those prosthetics? Did John or Dave change a story beat? I mean, how did you keep that character alive and get into? I mean, so much alive, he got another series.
It's never been spoken to me by anyone else or confirmed, but what I'm presuming at this point is from day one when I got cast, I heard that the makeup team were really excited to do this character as a prosthetic makeup and not a pullover mask, which a lot of them had been in The Mandalorian to that point.
Oh, okay.
So because I've been doing this for so long, I immediately got a hold of them. I was like, if you guys want to do this as a prosthetic, I could get you a copy of my head. And they responded that they, in fact, already had one and were working on it. So that already, like from day one, that kind of strangely aligned to become a prosthetic makeup. So when we did the makeup test and the costume test, everybody was there to watch, either on phone or in person, and they got to see what he could do. So I was animating the face and giving them as much variety of expression as possible. And I think they saw that there was potential for him as a character to deliver a lot of good emotion and piratey type faces and whatnot. And the costume, they could see how it moved and how I moved in it. So all of those things put together, I think, contributed to his survival.
It's got to make you feel pretty damn good, though, right? I mean, just as a person, and I mean, this is your profession. It's something you're really good at, obviously. But I mean, you got them to change a Star Wars character. It's essentially change a script. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I would stick that feather in my cap.
Yeah, it's hard for me to take much of that personally because I know how many people are involved in creating that. And I'm sure something of what I did contributed. There's just no way to like parse that and be like, yeah, I'm that great.
I am Marty. I am awesome.
Don't you know who I think I am?
I love it.
To answer your question though, briefly, like it couldn't have been a greater gift to have Jon Favreau walk up the morning of the first day after I've just met Carl Weathers and say, yeah, you're not going to die. What?
Okay, bud. Yeah, thanks, man.
You could have waited till lunch.
Since you mentioned his name, rest in peace, Carl. But what was that like working with a legend like him? I mean, you guys had a pretty, good little scene there. You got some dialogue. You got a little shootout, a little action. What was that like?
Yeah. Kind of like everything else, just beyond what I ever expected it to be or what it even needed to be. A lot of the times in a TV schedule, you are thrown in, you do your thing, and you jump. And there's not a lot of time to really connect or bond. So I wasn't expecting much, especially since, he is Carl Weathers and I'm just this nubbly faced alien guy there for the day or two. But from the moment I got there, he was really warm and receptive, and he sought me out to start running lines and going over the scene because obviously we're playing off each other. Right. We're going to make each other look better. We're both in charge of making that scene work. So he wanted to work. He was there to do a great job, and as we all know, he did. He's a tip-top pro, and he was nothing but kind to me all day long. Like we sat around and shared stories, and rather I listened to some amazing stories. And just kind of went.
Did he direct any of the episodes you were in? Because I think they let him direct at least one episode in season 3. I can't remember which one.
It wasn't the one I was in. We were with Rick on the first episode, and then 5 was the asteroid, and I don't know. Again, we were in a dark stage for the asteroid fight, so I don't know who was in charge of that one, but. No, I didn't get to be directed by him, other than as we were kind of like working with each other in the scene.
Did you guys do the Predator handshake after the scene? You son of a bitch!
I resisted every urge to fanfare.
I know. You gotta be professional. I understand. We're talking about Mando. How did you ultimately land that gig? Was it just talking to someone you knew at the prop shop there, at the costume shop, or
straight audition? The audition came through my agent, who was working with stunt, sport, physical component acting at this agency. And they had worked with the Star Wars group on previous shows, including this show, and all the way back to Mandalorian. I think episode 1 with Tate Fletcher was with this agency as well. Yeah, and a bunch of great people. And so because I'd done so much creature suit stuff, I think that probably also helped funnel the audition my way. And I ran it as a self-tape, just threw something together in my basement and sent it off, and it was received well enough to land me it.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Still shaking my head on it.
I mean, listen, you've worked on some top tier sci-fi, horror, fantasy. Where does Star Wars rank in terms of gigs?
In terms of gigs,
yeah, like all out of all the 20 plus years you've been doing this, all the crazy creatures you've brought to life. Where does I don't even want to say necessarily Vane as a character, but just you as a human, your experience. How does your time with Star Wars rank with everything else?
Well, as a kid who had Star Wars come out when he was 7 and became my entire world, like it ranks really high, like as a thing to be involved with that you never imagined you could touch, that kind of unattainable thing. Huge impact. But as I've gotten older and as I've done more work, the responsibilities that I've been afforded, the opportunities as well, like they keep getting better, as people realize like, oh, he can handle the makeup. He's got some acting chops. We can trust this guy. The gigs have gotten more interesting as I've been able to do more acting, more character work. And I get to work with high caliber people. Like everything I did on Evil was amazing. Joel Harlow ran that show, and I get to do George from episode 1 on to the Red Devil in the final season. A phenomenal opportunity there too. And as you mentioned, the Red One Vulture, the judge, I love that guy. Also Joel Harlow. That character, I wish he had his own show. He was so much fun to be a wackadoodle bird.
That was a crazy scene. I mean, that Krampus's castle was loaded with so your good type of people, creatures, right? And
yeah, I felt very comfortable there.
So you mentioned Joel twice, and I had him in my notes with Rick Baker. Mm-hmm. How did you who did you run into first? And both of these gentlemen seem to have really kind of been some gems in your personal network and kind of getting you into this creature work. How did that all come to be?
It's really weird to go back and kind of stitch some things together. I met Rick in LA when a makeup artist buddy of mine, Mario Torres, who's a phenomenal artist, sculptor. He's worked with Joel on a lot of stuff too. He might have actually sculpted the judge, if I'm not mistaking that. Anyway, way back when they were doing Men in Black 3, Mario just called me up. He's like, hey, they're doing a break. They're all back in LA. We're going to do some tests on some new aliens, and you want to come in and just like fart around and try some stuff on. We'll get it on camera so Rick can see the aliens. So we're in Rick's shop. I'm kind of oohing and awing because I've heard about Rick's shop, his massive shop that he had. And I'm just doing what I'm doing, which is doing weird stuff in front of the window and the mirror and trying to like embody these characters however I saw them in the moment. And then I hear this voice over on the side saying, "Why isn't he in New York?" And I look over and it's the ponytail himself. And I was like, I could stay on someone's couch in New York if you it would not be a problem. And so a little bit of talking, I was able to join the makeup team and go to New York and hang out and play a few things on Men in Black 3. But that seems to be somehow kind of a bit of a through line. Like I'm super enthusiastic about these artists, and I love sitting in the chair and watching this stuff happen. Like that's a huge part of my joy. And I'm very respectful of their work. And I want it to, I don't even eat at lunch because I don't want to impact the glue
is dedication.
in my mouth. Like, so yeah, I think because I'm not a pain in the butt and I've got some acting chops in my training, that's contributed a lot to kind of not just getting some better opportunities in these gigs, but just making really good friends in this business and in this particular niche of the business.
So I know we talked about this a bit earlier. I mean, early on, you were kind of doing some theater stuff. Are you professionally trained as an actor then? Is that your background?
Define professional.
Well, I feel like an idiot because I forgot to write it down, but I believe they say it's like you employ, is it the Meisner tactic of acting?
I'll tell you what, I've taken classes. I was in theater in school. I have not gone through like a multiple year specific training program, but I've studied a lot on my own. I've taken courses on Meisner, read books on Meisner, practiced that when I'm developing characters. Just this last fall, a few months ago, I went to New York because RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, was doing a workshop on Shakespeare, and it was like a Shakespeare intensive. And I was like, I need to dust off my Shakespeare skills. And I went like, just to practice. So it's always something that I've enjoyed. I think it's really foundational to whatever abilities I bring to creating character. It's just something I love. Did I get towards your question?
No, it's good.
I
got someone in the chat actually has a good one. Have you ever got to work with Phil Tippett? I mean, I know he's more into like building the little miniature monsters and whatnot.
God, if they would have let me know that they were working on that
crab,
trash monster crab, and they said, you can just sit there if you want, I would have been there from half an hour before he showed up to 2 hours after and just poking him and asking him questions.
I mean, he's a legend. Rick's a legend. Joel's a legend. Those of you out there, if you're not familiar with these names, I encourage you to go research them. Rick and Joel, huge in the, creature prop, makeup, all that type of stuff. Phil, if you're a Star Wars fan, Phil. I mean, he is Star Wars models, miniatures, the AT-ATs, all that stuff. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. It's well worth deep diving some of that too. There's some amazing books out there about kind of the special effects makeup world and kind of the history of it. And what I've found over the years, the more I worked, the more I've gotten to know everybody. I think without exception, everyone who's involved in this was just like a horror nerd or sci-fi nerd or fantasy nerd.
Sense.
And like they would sketch stuff in high school forever. And then suddenly like, oh, I'm pretty good. And then suddenly they're, years in, devoted to this craft and developing it, working on shows.
Like thing.
Yeah, like this amazing artist that I worked on with, I worked on American Horror Story and I played the Piggy Man, right? So Mike McCash worked on the makeup for the Piggy Man.
The Piggy
also
Man.
applied the makeup of Vane for Skeleton Crew. And I think he came from like the punk skate world, designing logo, like just doing cool rebel stuff. And now he's like working on Star Wars as well. So, if there's anyone young out there going like, oh man, that must be so cool. It is. Do it.
Listen up.
Just do it. Like that's how it happens. You just keep at it. And you start knocking on doors. You should like, start walking. If I had known as a kid, you could just go to Marin County and like look up ILM and go, hey, can I just tell you what I love and see what you love and like sweep your floors?
Yeah.
Like, by now, you'd be a high up at ILM.
I wonder what would happen today if a kid walked in 2025 and banged on the doors. I don't know. It might not be the same experience.
Fair. I might be thinking a few decades beyond that ability, right?
Yeah. When you were talking about, the beauty of makeup and how much you appreciate it, it does seem, and maybe at least in Star Wars, it seems like a lot of productions are going back to practical creatures, practical makeup versus, tinging things with CG, where there was kind of an era where it seemed like a lot of studios were leaning more on let's just digitize this stuff. I mean, I'm sure someone with you in your profession, did you notice that trend? And do you have a thought as to why it's coming back around to the practical?
Yeah, there wasn't ever really, I don't think there was a big issue that I was aware of where like CG was taking over. I'm sure a lot of people felt it when they were out bidding for jobs and whatnot. But I've never been like a big naysayer about CG. I love really good CG. Yeah. I mean, I abhor really bad CG, and I've said this before too, even in practical makeups, there are certain points when CG can really enhance it. Physical practical makeup on a human form can only go so far. If it's a big built out something or a big head that's an animatronic, like I can't raise the eyebrow of an animatronic. Someone else has to do that, and they can only go so far as the servo motor. So there's always an enhancement opportunity with CG, unless it goes so far that the entire thing needs to be CG. But caffeinated point being, any trick you employ along the path from beginning of story to end of story that enhances the story is okay. Doesn't really matter.
No, I agree. I guess I was just, for some reason, Green Lantern in 2011 got stuck in my head when I was asking that question, which is just literally CG.
Was it a CG fest?
Everything, man. I mean, it's everything. I think outside of Ryan Reynolds' head, everything is not real.
I can't say I love it. I can say that maybe I can appreciate someone wanting to see how far they could push it. Yeah. And then if it didn't work, they're certainly going to know. And whatever they learn from it, they'll take to the next thing.
Well, hey, your production, Neil, like it wasn't Neil a blend of practical, a little CG on, to keep the snout moving, or was Neil all mechanical? Was someone moving that with a remote?
As much as I was witness to, there was a combination of Robert with the headgear for his facial capture, which is always hilarious. There was a component of either body double and or stunt double with a head. And I think the head had like a panel so they could see out.
Okay.
And I'm sure some of those had some animatronics from maybe Legacy. I think they were running that. So he was also just a combination of tricks and tactics. And watching the show now, I can't tell
how they blended
what was CG. I can't tell what was practical and CG. It's so good. Like, if there's any benefit to the 2 years or the year and a half or whatever we had to wait for the show, it's the effects were ridiculous in this show.
Yeah, I thought they came off really, really good looking.
The atmospheres, I'm blown away. I'm always blown away.
That pirate frigate in the finale, Marty, when it's coming through the atmosphere and then lowers its cannons, and then you guys are being jerks and shooting at these peaceful AT-ATs. Yeah,
they'd stop running.
Yeah, seriously,
it'd be a lot easier to give.
If you guys were
save some lasers,
if you're just nice to them, these people are used to just doing what they're told for generations. You should have just been like, hey, we're the Republic, and they were like, okay, turn our power back on. We'll keep making you credits.
Had they only realized that they've never seen pirates and lasers, we were just scaring them away.
Yeah, you could have just came down and be like, hello, we are the benevolent Republic. We are here for credits. And they'd be like, oh, okay, great work. The
supervisor has asked us to tell you to stop moving.
Oh, man.
Please empty your pockets. You bring up a valid point.
Did when the barrier got broken, it was an awesome visual moment last night in the finale.
That was cool.
Did you guys did they reflect that on the volume at all to kind of cast that green light on everyone, or was that all done in post?
That was nothing I got to see. I wasn't on the volume for any of that scene. It was just the green screen dropship stuff. I know that I think the Kona character and the Beef character, I think they were on the volume for some of the city stuff. So they might have a better sense of it. I wish, but all the Port Borgo stuff was volume, and I was just a kid in a candy store every minute of that. That was really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because talking to Ravi last week, he was like, dude, the Port Borgo set, he said it was mind-boggling, and he explained it was essentially 2 sets, and then the volume was kind of like the opening portal to get out into space. He actually ran into that portal, but that yeah. To me. And, you know, I want your opinion. Was that one of the greatest just live action practical sets you've been on, that Port Borgo?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, insane. Like, I love a practical set. I think the artistry on display is always amazing. But even within the confines of that, you know, there's 360-degree prop artistry all the way out to the very edge of the screen, and then someone's digital artistry connecting it all the way up over the top. It was beautiful. I just kept marveling over it. I'd walk right up to the screen until I could see the individual LEDs, and then I'd back away and look at the elements, and I'd go back to the control board and ask far too many questions while they were trying to do their work.
Yeah, the IT guys are like, "Come on, Vane, we got
to
patch the game."
I wanted to know. Like, how does it know the camera? Because you'll see, when they have a longer lens, you'll see this bounding box, like a laser bounding box on the wall that's showing what the camera sees. And if it's a long lens, it'll get smaller as it's like narrowing down. And I kept watching it, and I could see, you know, there'd be a shift in the image, and it would kind of like warp or distort. But I could see elements in or on the wall kind of spreading and getting closer. So it was reflecting. There's some technical terms I'm just not grabbing, something about parallax or what have you.
You could just say does stuff, and this audience would be like, we got it.
Science words.
Yes.
Right.
Things.
So then I would go back and look at the playback on the monitor a couple of times when I could, and it looked practically finished. And the flatness of the volume that you experience when you're there just disappears, because everything is reflected in a 3D space from the practical set to the extension.
That has to be wild to see. I mean, because isn't the lights all dynamic too? Like, I mean, if you know, if there's a flash, the ceiling will light up to reflect it. It's not like they got to do as many setups as they used to. You know, we got to move the light here, move the light here. It just all kind of happens.
Turnarounds are nothing. There's no lights to take down. There's nothing to move. I mean, sometimes there's stuff to move, but one of the most telling things for me when I kind of had that epiphany moment after just first seeing the thing was, I think it was when we all came out, when the kids were about to go to the brig, and they were shooting Brutus, and I think there's like a torch kind of off to the side of him, and you see it practically, and obviously it's casting some light on him. Well, when we turned around to look at the kids, there's clearly no reason to have an open flame, so they take that away. And at some point, I saw someone with a giant iPad, and they were fiddling around, and suddenly this flame element comes up on the wall of the volume, and they're sizing it and changing the intensity and the color tone. I'm like, oh my God, cool. That's gonna light the fire on the. It's phenomenal. I want to play with it. I don't have any reason to. They would turn it loose and let me have at it.
This is all based on video game technology, right? From what I understand, I think Unreal was kind of like the basis for all this stuff when John was kicking it around many years ago.
I don't know if they're still using it. Unreal Engine.
I'm sure it's been improved over and over and over. How many?
So good.
On that Port Borgo, were all those? I mean, outside the main pirates like yourself, Gunther, and the rest, how many of those were they all extras? And all those extras had to get dolled up and kind of rough and tough looking piratey makeup?
I don't know what the dividing lines were between like cast actor types. There were a lot of stunt people. I'm sure they had some hired background. Yeah, I don't know what the breakdown was on that, but
do you like ballpark how many people were on that set?
Oh man, I might say 50, 60 people.
It really felt alive, man. I mean, it definitely felt lived in. It felt it had its own little culture going on there, and kind of the cafeteria bazaar area.
Yeah, and that was great. That was a really, really beautiful set.
You got some screen time and some lines there, right? That's where you first identified that the kids had Old Republic credits.
Yes. Yeah, that was the first inkling that I had something fun to do on the show, was harassing the two kids.
Now, did anyone ever explain to you exactly what Republic, these old Republic credits came from? That's kind of been a big fan question here.
No, that's definitely a pay grade issue there.
Got you. Yeah, I think we all have come to the understanding that this planet At-Aten has existed for thousands of years and was probably always minting, but the dataries your pirates wanted, they looked like credits that might have been kicking around before the fall of the Republic into the Empire. So for that scene, did Robert was he ever in the full costume, or is he just in, like the CG suits with that rig on his head?
He was fully wardrobed up, and I'm not sure if he had to have I think he had a padded suit as well, and the hands.
Okay.
And I'm not sure.
Did they put him in the corduroys, like the overall? Did he get to at least?
Yeah. Yeah. He was in the full getup. It was hilarious.
So
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he got to wear the head just because he's the guy, but I don't remember if he was acting in it or if he just was in the head rig.
Yeah, it's just always funny, seeing that little elephant dude walk or jump over a sidewalk. It's you always wonder who was in that. Was it mostly the stunt performer or the double that was doing the walking around Neil scenes and not Robert then?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, sorry for
No, hey,
it's so long ago, and I'm so oh, should I be standing here? Kind of paying attention to my own feet sometimes. But yeah, there was a combination that I'm not sure, he must have been able to do some of the running, jumping stuff just for the fun of it and to get his physicality.
Got it.
And at some point they would hand off to the stunt people.
So, I've been talking about, we had Ravi on last week, and I mean, the kid's pretty damn special. I mean, I've honestly, I've never come across a young man, a 13-year-old that is that charismatic, on their game. I mean, just full of energy.
I'm taking notes. He's total pro.
I know. I was geez, man. I mean, holy crap. I wish I could have him on every week. I mean, it's he makes everything better, it feels like. So when you were there a year and a half, 2 years ago, did you all understand how good these child actors were while filming? I mean, was it evident on set that these aren't your usual child actors? No knack on child actors, but sometimes they don't have the life experiences to kind of generate the emotions, the physical emotions, but it seems like all four of them, Ravi in particular and Ryan, just absolutely killed this.
Right. Well, Ryan and I had the most direct interaction because we were staring at each other through her little pew, hold up, pirates, and we were kind of facing off. So because of that, she and I got to chit chat a little more, and I got a sense kind of her temperament, her maturity, and but all of them are so much more mature than I think I ever was. Even now, really. It was pretty apparent that they had really knocked it out of the park with casting those four. They all meshed really well. It seemed like they kind of had their own individual personalities just as kids, but they all seemed to get along as friends, which was great. I would love to know how much time they gave them and what they gave them to do pre-production to kind of bond.
I asked him that.
Get to know each other.
Yeah, it's did they kind of nurture a relationship? It didn't sound like a lot, but it sounds once they got there, they had to go to school. It sounded like they had a lot of fun there. It sounded like Ravi and Ryan, they kind of hit it off. They would get yogurt every night and just kind of hang out. So it does seem like they kind of kept them together, and now they are bonded. And so, hopefully, I mean, listen, I hope it for all of you, but Skeleton Crew season 2, right? I mean, I really like how this finale ended, as opposed to something like The Acolyte, where it's they didn't know they're getting a second season, yet they left a lot of stuff on the table. And it's okay, well, now we're not going to get it. Where Skeleton Crew, kind of same deal, initially announced as limited series. And it does feel like Watt and Ford wrote the finale in a way where a fan, you all as characters, would be like, yeah, we did it. We told a story. We answered all the plot mysteries that were brought up in episode 1 and kind of fleshed out throughout the 8 episodes. And we kind of put it all to bed. We left our characters in a place that's satisfying. There is obviously potential to keep going, but it feels like, unfortunately, if Skeleton Crew doesn't get greenlit for season 2, it did its job, right? It really feels like a complete season and a story was told.
And hats off to Christopher Ford and John Watts. Like how you can craft something that has so much of that, both the complete satisfaction of the story, all of these little dropped in lines that could easily continue. They make you want to know more. Like, what's up with the murals, with all the people on the murals? What's up with...
Do you know, Marty? Please.
I know nothing. I know nothing about it. But
We've
I'm
all
so
been
curious.
scanning those damn murals, I promise you.
Yeah, I mean, when they went to the spa planet and they were in the Chamber of Treasures, and you see Neil looking at that big statue of
an elephant,
buffed out, and they held long enough on that for you, us to go, wait a minute. Like, what's he seeing in that? Is that inspiring him? Is there something historical that he recognizes, or is he just kind of like envision? Now he's like getting a sense of his future potential. Like, what's going on? So that, plus fitting it correctly into the lore, even though they don't like hit the lore points too hard, but it fits in the world, right? It's just a testament to really good storytelling, and these guys are fantastic at it. Like, they got the vibe in there, they got the nostalgia hits in there. The kids were great, so they were obviously attuned to how to direct children and cast children who could be directed, who would already have the temperament and the personality and could just be nudged along the story. I'm blown away. Like, I've heard that the viewership is low at this point. I'm desperately hopeful that word of mouth will keep going, because this is such a treat. Like, as a fan, I'm ready to watch it again. We saw the finale last night. I'm ready to go back, because now as we said, there's so much packed into it now that I've seen it and just enjoyed it purely from a viewer. Now I want to go back and start picking things out. Mm-hmm. I probably, as I do with things I like, I'll go back a third time and start like really picking into Mick's score, which was lovely.
Oh, dude, amazing.
Looking for like those little fine details. Yeah, Mick's score made me really happy too.
Did he ever, I mean, this may be a dumb question, but did you ever see him around set, maybe just trying to get a vibe for what you guys were doing to help him kind of generate some of those themes he came up with?
If I did, I wouldn't have known him at the time, but I will say that when we went to the premiere, they held it at Disneyland. And after the premiere, they cut us loose for the last hour or two to go terrorize the park. And I got funneled into this group with Mick and his dad, and Mick and I were chit-chatting, and he was kind of hitting me up on Creature Suit questions, and I was like, oh, yeah, but you're a musician and composer. Let me go at you. I didn't get too far along the lines because we went to Pirates of the Caribbean to go ride the ride. But I was kind of complimenting his work on Penguin and what he had done so far from what I'd seen, which were the first 3 episodes. And he mentioned something like he saw something later on in the series. I think it was in the finale that made him giggle, which I took as the hologram point when I'm like about to blow the tower up. And Jude's like, you idiot. It's like, it's all right. Yeah. It was a speeder bike.
I did. That was a good little gag. I remember. Yeah.
That's hilarious. We got him. Cut to, didn't get him. He's walking in the door right now.
Yeah, I mean, that score is something else. I'm not going to put him up there with John Williams quite yet, but he channeled that spirit, I think. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some themes in Skeleton Crew that ring out. I love what he did with the play on the Force theme he did in, was it episode 2 when Jod's pulling the key over? I thought that was
good. He led into it. Yep. He kind of held it, and
he was teasing it. He was teasing it, right? And then he hits it, and like me, probably like you, we're OT trilogy fans. Yep. I get very Pavlovian when I hear the Force theme. It's like, oh, dude, don't do this to me. Come on, Luke and the twin sons, don't do it. Yeah.
Which was so smart, because he's not going to hold up that bargain, but for the sake of Wim's character, that's exactly what we should be thinking at that point.
Yeah, no, it was great. Yeah, Robbie was telling us that the finale might be 50 minutes, so I'm wondering if there were some edits that
holding back some 10 minutes somewhere on somebody's computer.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say anything on air, but speaking with Justin, it does seem like they might have taken Wim in a slightly different direction there in the finale. But maybe they're holding off on that for some season 2 stuff. So I, for one, I definitely thought Wim was trending Force sensitive, is I guess is what I would say.
Sure. That would have been an easy direction to go with his obsession and love of all things.
Right. I'm telling you, I thought he was going to, at some point, reach out,
Zhwoop,
get that
the
saber.
lightsaber?
Yeah, I kind of thought that was going to be the beat, but I loved how it went down. It was still fun to watch. So, kind of speaking of who ended up becoming the main antagonist, Jadna in the Wood, Captain Silvo, whatever you want to call him. As a fan, I've been watching Star Wars forever. I honestly think Jude Law may be the best Star Wars actor that I've seen. I mean, there's been some great performances.
Jude Law.
Skarsgård was great as Luthen and Andor, but man,
so good.
I think Jude just destroyed this role in a fantastic way. I mean, that character was so dynamic. It had so many layers. Last week we all thought Jod was a piece of crap, and then by the finale, and you're like, I think he learned his lesson. Like, I think he does understand now that there is still good out there, and with the right people and the right influences, good can happen. And just the way he acts, both physically and the way he delivers lines, man. What was that like working with him? I mean, I know you were there for, what was that, episode 6 on the frigate, the trial, right?
Yeah, that might have been my only. Well, no, the episode 1 when we were going after that, the vault, the empty vault, was the first time I met him.
Okay,
and that, but brief, because it was also episode 1, and everyone was just kind of finding their feet at that point, and I think I said hello on that one. Episode 6, much more interaction. Got to go over the scene a little bit with Bryce and our interaction, which, as all things, it was a little bigger as we shot it. Of course, they pared it down in editing. There was one point when we were on a break, not doing anything, and I saw him kind of, as we would do, walked over to a computer panel and was just like poking buttons and flipping switches, and I was like, nah, he's cool.
He's practicing
he's one of us.
His analog. Yeah, he's practicing his analog button pressing. I love that. Yeah,
but you're absolutely correct. Like, his performance in this, the arc as a whole, it's phenomenal. I look for subtlety. I want to feel what the character's feeling. I want to be able to detect what they're thinking. Right. It was so layered, even from that moment, which made me laugh. Also because it was played so straight and so poignant when he finally sees all of the credits and he walks up to that bank.
Oh my God.
And he almost cries.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, he's basically orgasmic, Marty. I mean, he's orgasmic. He's like, oh, yeah. It's like it.
But almost like that would indicate that, I think that moment alone, even though it's for all the wrong reasons, indicates that he's got a heart, right? Mm-hmm. That made him feel like something made him feel. And that's a great point. Because that's what he's been looking for all this time. He thinks it's in credits.
Cold,
and that's
hard
what got
credits.
To his heart.
Yep. He said it multiple times in the finale.
Saying it over and over. And yet, at the finale, which, I hate to be super spoilery just the day after, but that last interaction when, after everything he did to those kids to try to get his way, tried to get them to trust him, abused their trust, and after all the threats of violence and all of the rigmarole, William's like, come on. Like,
no, yeah, I was going to say, he still wanted Jod to come with him.
And it got to Jod. Like, it got to him. Yeah. And to have all of that conveyed. Ugh.
And it was all just through his face, right? It was mostly facial expressions, that last scene where he's walking towards the window. I mean, he didn't say anything, but you could, like you're saying, you can feel the emotions of that character just looking at Jude.
Yep.
And
do you have any theories as to when Jod was watching the ship? I noticed he had quite a change of expression there. He was watching it. He kind of looked down and he kind of went,
yeah, he has like a smile. It's
what's up with the smirk?
I kind of took it as almost like him finally realizing that, you know what, they were right. There is good in this galaxy. This galaxy isn't just about cold, hard credits. It was almost like, yeah, they were right. That's kind of how I took it. Would you feel?
They were right, and now that the pirates are all gone, it's all mine.
Oh, damn! You're right. Season 2 starts with Jod trying to dive down that hole and get back to the vaults down there.
He's like, Oh, there goes all my buddies.
More for
Wait
me.
a second.
I like that. I like that spin, Marty. That's a good one. I like that.
That's my completely uninformed working theory at this point.
So
Until tomorrow when I watch it again.
back to I think it was the episode 6 trial, the trial of Jod that Brutus put on, and then he gets his time to talk. Were you surprised? Because I guess reading interviews from Bryce, Jude was the one that decided to start the shanty about Tack Rennan. Were you all surprised? You're like, oh, this isn't what he's supposed to be doing right now, or were you just going with it in the moment?
He must have come up with that idea outside of my view or prior to, and had presented it because it just seemed cool in the moment and just given to us as like, hey, okay, next, here's what we're gonna do.
All right.
So it was just part of the day at that point.
Got you. Is that frigate volume based, or is that a traditional set, like the bridge?
That was a big old bridge, and I think we must have been on the volume. I think we had to have been on the volume. Certainly, the front view screen was like, if not the entire volume set, there was a chunk of volume screen. But because the rest of the ship was so complete, I don't really remember.
Were you guys like,
or maybe I wouldn't have even known because again, it's so dark. This is how, like, you might think I'm waffling, not trying to divulge any secrets, but imagine this. You're getting dressed up as a space alien. You're in these bright rooms and everyone's working on you. And then they bring you onto the stage and it's pitch black. And someone's guiding you so you don't fall on your face because your eyes haven't adjusted yet. And someone's like, okay, let me put a microphone on you. Okay, let me check your makeup. And you're like, well, I don't even know
where am I?
Where am I? And then they take you through all these little circuitous routes and tunnels. And sometimes you'll go over and be like, oh, there's an alien. Oh, wait a minute, I'm an alien. And then you'll sit for a minute and then someone's like, okay, now come over here. And they'll take you over here. And they'll be like, now come through this door. And then suddenly you're on the bridge of a spaceship.
It's got to be very disorienting, huh?
Yeah.
It might be good for your head to get ready. You're like, I don't even know where the hell I am anymore. So yeah, let's go. I'm definitely on a spaceship. Yeah.
For the actor, there's nothing more beneficial than just being kind of like thrown into this environment because you want to seem as real as possible if you're going to be pretending that you're in the place and it's real.
We actually had a member question. We do have some channel members, so as one of their perks, they got to ask a couple questions, Marty, if you don't mind.
No, I'm gonna get my last swallow of caffeine, and I will be so primed.
Let her rip. Here he comes. All right, this one comes from Abby Sky, and I'm seeing some pop up in the live stream, so it's a good time to ask. They want to know, Marty, could you describe the prosthetic process for Vane and tell us how long that took every day to physically transform into that character?
100%. So night before, I'll shave my noggin. Since I'm already cropped, I just bring it down so that the glue will stick. Glue is the major component of this whole process. So the first thing, bright and early,
like Elmer's glue? I mean, what type of glue are they putting on your poor head, man?
Yeah, 2-part epoxy. They get a stick. JB Weld all over. No, I think it is I could be wrong on the ingredients, and it's all proprietary stuff, but it's like a surgical adhesive, like a silicone adhesive. And so regardless of the temperature outside or in the makeup trailer, the first thing you do is sit down and a big old brush with glue just goes right over your face. And then the pieces start going on, and then the paint happens, and then the touch-ups and all of the little pieces. Hour and a half to hour 45. I think he started out around 2. We got him down to about maybe hour 45. Pretty quick as special effects, makeup, prosthetics, appliances go.
How do you pass your time? I mean, I'm thinking I'd probably start going nuts. I mean, are you able to look at a device, or you do meditate? Do you sleep? I mean, how do you get through that?
My particular makeup, my internal self, I have no issue with it. I love watching it.
Okay.
So other than if I get tired and I have to kind of see if there's an opportunity to kind of check out for a second or try to get up and stretch. There's always like a get up and stretch point. There's like a get up and go to the bathroom point. But I love it so much, I don't really want to miss it. So I'll watch as much as I can. And I like to see, and also because I've been doing it for so long, I can kind of predict the next stages of it. You know, I know like after the first lay down of the pieces, I can probably stretch a little bit. After things have dried and are largely in place, I can kind of start like working the makeup to see. I can see what it looks like when I do what I think is correct. So I can start working on like translating through the makeup. Yeah, I think it's a treat. You know, I don't know how much longer I can do it because obviously I'm aging to a point, and like, you know, chemical toxicity at some point is less appealing, and recovery time.
You end up like the Tin Man.
But it's absolutely delightful. It's a really, really cool process.
All right.
It's not for everyone. There's the claustrophobia factor. There's the can I sit still for 4 hours factor.
Yeah, that's where I'd start to get a little itchy, I think. It's like, okay, I got to be here for 4 hours straight, and then I got to do what usually 13, 15-hour day on set, typically. I mean,
it can be. It can be. I think it wasn't nearly that long with this show, probably just because there's so much going on. You know, they could schedule out their parts and pieces pretty accurately. I don't remember any. Well, also because, you know, I was on Star Wars and on the volume, they could have had me for 12 hours and I've been like, can I just stay?
Yeah. Like, I'm good. I'll see you. I'll lock up for you. See you in the morning.
Yeah. There's a hammock over here. Find me tomorrow.
Were you one of the first cast members that had to come in on the call sheet because of the makeup, or was I'd imagine Brutus's makeup probably took less time than yours, because his seemed like just right? Just almost put a helmet on.
His was like suit, head. I think his was probably pretty quick. The makeup trailers typically hold 3, sometimes 4 people, and then 2 to 3 people working on the person.
Right.
So I think I had Jaleel.
I was gonna say Jaleel was probably in there.
And then Dominic, who played Beef, he was in my trailer several times. And then it just depends on the day. You know, they'll distribute people out, and they'll walk in and be like, hey, how you doing? I won't see you again for 12 hours, but I'll try to remember your face.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
it's kind of weird. It's really weird. You do get to know the people as the characters, and it's kind of bizarre sometimes when, you know, everybody meets each other out of makeup and you're like,
right, surprise.
Sure, we've worked together.
Yeah, no, hey, you used to put stuff on my face for 2 hours a day.
For hours.
Oh, that is crazy.
Strange.
Did you get to keep any mementos from either show, Mando or Skeleton Crew?
I have an entire trunk full of credits right over there. I'm not going to show you, but they're really cool.
Yeah, someone was asking, did Vane
nothing.
ever get to touch a datery? Oh, it sounds like maybe he did.
You know, that's about the only thing I would have wanted, because I'm not like a huge collector. I'm a little more minimalist in real life, but a credit would have been really cool. And now that I saw the finale, it seems like there would have been ample opportunity.
There's plenty. Those definitely weren't CG. Those were all practical.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that would have been nice. But no, nothing at all, actually. Not even some Navarro sand. You know,
yeah, come on, Robbie at least collected alien space dust, man. Come on, you got to have something.
Does he have like pockets of dirt?
Yeah, he said he would. Yeah, at the end of the day, he'd like empty his costume and save it, and then. Yeah. I forget who it was, maybe a grip or someone saved him a bottle from all the different sets. I thought that was nice. So.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. No, I think, you know, since you're also since you were the first in to start the makeup, and we're also some of the last out after getting out of all the makeup, but inevitably you're going to come home with some like glue boogers in the crevices of your ears.
Yeah.
So I think that's my souvenir. Slimy glue remnants.
It is from a Star Wars production, though, so it means something to somebody.
Over 25 years, I've collected every little glue ball from my ears.
So you got it out in your backyard. It's probably massive at this point in time.
Yeah, it's like a meteor.
Oh, man. Let's see. Out of the Skeleton Crew episodes, was there one that really kind of stood out to you as your personal favorite out of the 8?
As a fan, as a viewer?
Yeah, yeah.
Man, they were all so solid, really. I mean, someone on the internet said something like, filler episode. Like, yeah, but really, though? No. I don't think so. I think they all had a lot of really good stuff in them. I like world building, so probably 1 and 2, because I like the introductions to people. I like to see how they're going to set them up, you know, how they're interacting. And clearly, you know what the challenges are going to be based on how they're initially presented. So obviously these kids are going to have to learn a few things. So I like 1 and 2 probably the most.
All right.
As me, the actor.
There's no wrong answer.
Probably 2, because I had the most stuff to do for Vane.
Got you.
You know, it was his first interaction with the kids and the chef creature and the crustacean creature. And then the running and the getting punched by SM was great because I got to be ratcheted.
Oh yeah, that's
back
right.
Stunt guys.
That's right. You got one of the cock and load punches.
Yeah, kicking it off with a center punch.
Oh.
Yeah.
So were you in the rig for that, or they put a stuntman to get yanked?
No. There was at some point there was that like, hey, so we only have one costume.
Oh no.
What do you think about? I'm like, yeah. Can I please? I think I might have begged a little bit. I'm not sure, but I was enthusiastic about it.
How'd that feel? I know a few people in the stunt industry, and getting yanked is not one of their favorite things to do. How'd it go?
The yank is fine. It's the landing, that's
right?
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. The yank, you get a little bit of a countdown, and when you're rehearsing it, it's the lightest, fluffiest letdown because you're like, okay, here's how far back we're gonna go, and then you're gonna slowly come down to the ground. And then by the very last take, which is the one they used, I think there wasn't a whole lot of slowdown. It was more like just bowling pins, so it looks cool.
Yeah. Hopefully,
I think the last one we all knew that was the last one. Let's put it that way.
All right. Yeah, I was half expecting to say the finale. You know, I do think that Vane.
Yeah.
It as we were talking, it does seem like that's finally when Vane was starting to kind of assert himself and maybe be the number 3 to Gunther's 2, something like that. And as we kind of kick things off, Vane lives. We didn't see a body. We don't know. It's not like the frigate blew up. So
this is true.
There is potential.
Yeah, there were. All of the little moments kind of were favorites, like anything that I could add or suggest or got an opportunity to play with. Like that's just the fun stuff. I know it's not the Vane show.
Right.
But any opportunity there is like great. There's something I can grab onto. And like, was it second to the last one when Gunther's like, Captain, where's that Onyx Cinder headed off to? And they're like, whip him out of the way.
Yeah.
Initially, that was flipped, and I think I was up there, and then Gunther was going to do it, and I was like, because a couple of times prior, they didn't use it in the edit, but when the hologram came up with the Onyx Cinder and Jod was like trying not to get jettisoned, there was a point there where we were like kind of jostling each other, and I was like, hey, Jaleel, do you mind if we kind of like do that more, like kind of just shove each other around? Because I figured at some point in Vane's mind, that's the guy he's got to get one over on.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So when we came to that episode where we're like looking at the panel trying to see what the Onyx Cinder's up to, I was like, we've been doing this thing. It would make a little more sense if you want to do this to like flip that where I like throw him out of the way. So they did flip that and let me chuck him.
Hey, now look at you getting some directing notes in there, right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I won that one. That was fun.
Listen, I know the answer to this, but they're asking me. I'm going to ask, any rumblings of space pirates showing up in the Mandalorian movies, Marty?
Oh, yeah, I love these. Let me tell you everything I know. So the very last episode, or the last 5 minutes of the movie, I got to take my dog outside. He's got to go.
Oh, no. See, there you go, people.
Yeah.
He can't answer anything like that. Stop it.
It's the hardest thing in the world because if I knew anything, I'd be so uncomfortable that it kind of would be like admitting something. But, even if I don't know anything, I couldn't like pretend. There's just no way to get into it.
I know.
I would love to.
We're just kidding around. I'm not here to put anyone on the spot or get you in trouble. Yeah, so.
Guess what?
That was great. Here's a better one.
I would love to be involved in anything. Like, I know that I'm in makeup, so historically that's afforded me the opportunity to come back on the same show multiple times because they can put you in other things.
Right.
I would hope.
All right, hey, we're all pulling for you. We're all pulling for you, whether it's happened or not. We're pulling for you. Here's an easier one you can answer. It's coming from Bat2797. Why is SM-33 the best droid ever, Marty?
He's big. He's crusty. His morality is flexible.
Yeah,
it seems like
his pirate code's a little loose there at the end.
What did he say? Close enough.
Yeah. Oh, so cool.
Claims he's good enough. Let's go. Yeah, he was cool. From a technical standpoint, in the making of it, they had this guy Zach, who's a really tall basketball player. He was the one wearing the leotard, so they'd get the physical reference when it was full CG.
Got you.
And they had the well, I don't. There's a term they're starting to call it. It's like a Japanese puppetry form, where it's like a wearable puppet on the front of a guy. So
I think we've seen some of the BTS
shoulder. Yeah, so technically seeing how they put them all together was great. And then the effect of it, I love that he's like this, like been there, done that, seen everything, attitude.
Oh, crotchety, yeah. Arr. I like that he's like, arr, and then he disappears behind the wall, and then he's like, arr.
that moment, that's why he's the best droid.
Yeah, yeah. That was great.
We were all just cackling when that happened.
It was
watching that here.
Yeah, he's a little delirious. Who knows what that snowball was doing to his circuits in there? He's got a little squirrely every once in a while.
Oh
when
God.
Speaking of the puppetry, you know, when and your scene with him on Port Borgo where you get jacked, when he kind of starts to move fast and forms those shields on his arm, is that when he turns CG, or was that still practical?
I never saw any of that. That must have been full.
Yeah, that's when you guys are like blasting
CG.
at his shields, and they get warm enough. He burns a pirate's face, and
yeah, it wasn't apparent to me when we were shooting that he had any kind of like transformational stuff. Okay. I might have seen him in different forms and just not even recognized. So yeah, the only interaction I had was that when he's face to face and we're pre-punch, and then when we came out to throw the kids in the brig, we had shot a little extra beyond Wim saying brig, what's a brig? And we all kind of like encroached on the kids. Yeah. And I asked the guys, I was like, hey, can I kick the prop? Can I kick him a little bit? Because, you know, he just punched me and I haven't even noticed that he's on the floor. And like, yes, I just gave him like a little, little tap with my boot.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. So, if it were the Vane show.
Yeah. So, just speaking from your time on Skeleton Crew working there, do you kind of have a standout memory from that shoot? Something that you go back to every once in a while, like, damn, that was a good day, or that was a great moment, or, you know, we really nailed that as a cast.
Across the volume, seeing Ryan go, give me the old, I got your nose, and then pocketing it. She took delight in harassing poor noseless Vane.
That is awesome, Marty.
The fact that he has no nose. Yeah, she was rad.
That is so cool, man. Same question, The Mandalorian. Do you have like a core memory from that shoot?
Oh man, I mean, I could say the obvious, like, and valid, like meeting, and I do mean meeting Grogu when they rolled him out and kind of brought him up. And
is it as intoxicating as those people that have met him say? Is it just surreal?
He's a delightful thing. You lose yourself in his luminous little eyeballs.
No,
it's really
how
cool.
Untethered
so
is the puppet now? I mean, do they still have guys right behind them moving him, or has he become somewhat more remote controlled?
I don't know how many versions of him there are or how advanced they've gotten, but what I saw was he was in the egg pram, and because of that, he was on a pedestal with a bunch of wires, and they were going out to whoever was controlling him. I think at that time, there were 3 people on controllers, each running 2 or 3 aspects. And like I said, you know, anytime someone would walk up to him, they'd warm up, they'd bring him up and start running him just to kind of get him going. So I got to see the inanimate and animated Grogu, and he's delightful.
I got to ask. Sorry, while they're kind of animating him, is someone making his like cuckoo sounds too, or is that all in post?
Well, if he was, I wouldn't have been able to hear him over my own cuckoo sounds of how cute he was. I was goo-goo babying him to beat the man.
Yeah, I mean, I have a life-size one in my shelves over there. He really is a fantastic little guy, but I can't imagine what it's like to see the actual working puppet.
Really good. I don't know that they have to do much touching up at all in post.
So it looks and feels that real, huh? When you're there, it's just he's alive.
knocked him out of the park. It's a really great design, really great execution.
I'd be interested if in the movie coming up here in 26, if maybe they give him a bit more height. I mean, I know they age kind of slowly. I just wonder how they grow, or if they're just going to keep rolling with the same size puppet.
I mean, maybe they have like very infrequent explosive growth spurts.
There you go. I mean, he doesn't have much more to go. Maybe another foot tops, and then he's catch up to Yoda.
Sure, he'll be in some snappy wardrobe at some point. He's got to get like armor, some tactical gear.
Yeah, well, he's got his little chainmail, right? But yeah, I think he needs a Mandalorian helmet, considering he's been dubbed like an apprentice almost at this point in time. So I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
A couple little mini pauldrons, that'd be all right. I'd like to see that.
We got someone asking, were there any of your pirate buddies that Vane could be sad about right now, possibly? Was he sad? Was he sad when Brutus got capped in the face?
I think there might have been a little sparkle in his eye every time some next higher up got moved off the playing field.
That's right.
Like, oh, I'm one step closer to greatness.
Oh man, you were too correct there. Yeah,
not that he can handle the responsibility, but he really aspires to.
That's what I mean. I mean, it always seemed, and especially in Mandalorian season 3, it seemed like he was going to make his bag there. It's like, all right, now the Pirate King's gone. I made it out. I'm one of the only ones that survived that, But you would think he'd potentially want to go try to be a captain. No, he's like, hey, I'll join these guys and I'll take 3rd or 4th position. No big deal. Captain Silvo's got our back.
Yep. His loyalty is very inward facing.
Yeah. Well, that's a pirate for you, right? I mean, that's how it should be.
Arg, yes.
Was there, I mean, if you can't say it, you can't say it. You might not even know what I'm talking about, but the fandom, a lot of us were like, this show is a perfect opportunity to debut Hondo Ohnaka into live action Star Wars. I mean, he was the first Star Wars pirate we met in the Clone Wars in animation. He made it to Rebels, and he's the puppet down there at Galaxy's Edge. And I think all of us were like, it's like, okay, 1 + 1 = 2. Yep. But we know recently Star Wars shows don't typically like to do that type of math, where it seems like it's a layup fan moment. They're like, nah, we're not going to do it. And lo and behold, it happened again. Was there any talk? Did you hear anything about Hondo possibly having a cameo, or was that not even a discussion with Skeleton Crew?
It was never anything I heard. Again, I'm just so limited on what I would hear on the day, but in the run up, when we're all sitting around waiting to see if there's going to be another pandemic, or if there's going to be a strike, which there are all these things that delayed the show coming out, I'm diving onto the internet as me, just go like, what's going on? I wonder if I can find anything out. And after Celebration London, and they showed Vane's face in that initial teaser trailer, I was thinking, great, well, I can at least now say I'm a part of this show. And then one of the first things I saw was like, that better be Hondo. Where's Hondo? Hondo? It's just like Hondo talk.
the like, rabid man, watch out.
They're going to hate Vane because he's not Hondo.
Well, we already had love for you.
Well, Hondo's such a great character. Like, I understand that any talk around that is just expressing a real great appreciation for that character. Right. He was a delightful character to watch. I'll go back and watch those episodes of the animated shows just because they're so good.
He's fun.
And the vocal performance is great. But I certainly understand why it's like why Vane didn't have a bigger part. He couldn't. Like, why would you want to focus on, it would have been cool for me, but why would you want to focus on that or that connection when the story is about this new guy and these 4 kids?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So pirates are like this one organization to kind of like provide a little bit of drama for those guys, but the story is about those guys. So if Hondo showed up, like, who cares about the kids? Who cares about John? It's going to be about Hondo.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if they're going to do it, I feel like they would have to put him in some sort of a venue where it's really about him, which again, I know nothing, but in my speculative actor brain, it's like, well, it should be Ahsoka if they're going to ever do it, or some offshoot maybe after Ahsoka season 2, or like Dave's, what are they calling it? Like the project after Ahsoka and after the Mando.
Yeah, it's Mandalorian Grogu. Then there's supposed to be like some sort of Dave's it's been billed as like a crossover film of
Right,
all
right.
the live actions. That's all that's
Yeah.
really been teased so far. So we don't know
I
if
hope they
Mando's
do.
going to get a season 4, if that's just turned into a movie. I mean, everything got kind of weird with streaming, you know? It's like, yeah, let's
Streaming-
stream everything. Now they're like, oh crap, that cost a lot of money and we're not making it back. So maybe we should go back to movies. It's like,
Nobody knows what
yeah,
to do.
who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
it'll be good to see a Star Wars movie again for the first time in almost 10 years when one comes out in 26. Hopefully.
Right.
It sounds like they got the filming done on Mandalorian Grogu, so now it's just all post and possible reshoots. So it might actually
Fingers
happen
crossed.
come May.
I'm waiting impatiently, just like everybody else.
Hey, some of the fans are asking, Marty, do you have your con schedule set up for 25 yet, or should they ask SW props for that type of stuff?
SW props is a great direction to go for that.
All right.
I've got an Instagram that I'm maintaining, so anything that pops up, I'll post there as well.
All right.
But 2025 is a slow start. I think everybody is kind of waiting to see what's going on this year. It seems like whether it be the industry coming out or the current absolutely horrific, tragic state of Southern California,
That's rough.
or you name it. Nothing's really going on yet. I don't have anything to report, but I'm hopeful that there will be a pickup in scheduling for the conventions. Because honestly, when there was the first one and it was the first opportunity to recognize that I had this opportunity to like engage with fans
Right.
as a fan, but also someone who got to wear an alien makeup, I was thrilled to do it. It's tons of fun, and I'm hopeful that will continue.
Any talk
But
of
as
you?
of right now,
you-
nothing booked.
You think you guys might head out to Japan for Celebration in April, possibly?
I keep threatening, like, I don't expect an invite because the show is now
Right.
complete, and they're going to be, I would imagine it's going to be all about
Andor.
Andor,
Yeah.
and then the typical, Hayden, Ewan, whomever, top tiers.
Bring out the
The
big
top
dogs.
tiers, like, absolutely, as well it should be, right? That's why we would go. But I've never been to Japan, and I really want to go to Japan. So
All right.
I'm seeing about it.
Get it done, Justin. Come on. Let's get it done.
Yeah,
Get it
let's
booked.
go, Justin.
Get it booked. All right, back to Skeleton Crew. And again, Marty, if you got to go, just give me the high sign. I mean, or you can have Justin do it, so it's not over the air.
No,
but
the only thing on my clock is whether or not that dog gives me the "I have to go now"
Fair
eyes,
enough.
which right now he's asleep.
all right,
so
fair
let's
enough.
keep
Well,
on.
if you're good, let's keep rocking and rolling then.
Yeah.
So, Marty, you spent time on with Skeleton Crew with the Mandalorian. Is there an actor and or director that you just really loved working with in the Star Wars universe?
Yes, there was. I'm just trying to think of there was nothing or any experience that would say this one better than this one. I was fascinated to see everyone's different approach, but also because I'm such a technical nerd, behind the scenes aficionado, that I'll watch all of the kind of roundtable discussions in the behind the scenes stuff that they had on Disney Plus, because I want to know everybody's angle and how they come up with their ideas and how they are on set. So seeing everybody on set on the day was probably the best part, just getting to know each director. I think maybe because the first time I was ever involved was with Rick, there's like a special bit there.
From
first
Mando,
time-
right, Rick?
For Mando, yeah, for episode 1 of season 3. He was delightful to work with, very calm, intelligent temperament.
Is he
That's
a big
probably-
dude? He seems like he's a big dude, like tall and imposing, or is that just behind the scenes
He's-
camera perspectives?
No, that's about right. I think I remember being eye to eye.
Okay, yeah, because you're 6'4", right? I mean, you're
Yeah. And in those Vane boots, I'm like 6'6.5".
Damn.
So, yeah, I remember being kind of equal footing with him for that.
guys play any basketball in your Vane costume?
Oh man, I wish. And if we had, I want the pictures.
Oh, dude, you're doing like the Air Jordan in the Vane outfit. That'd be great. Air
Just
Vane.
slapping it out. Nope. What else? I think because then also the first episode of Skeleton Crew was John. I knew this was his baby, so I was kind of like, anytime I could, I would just like inch a little bit closer just to try to overhear and witness what was going on. And I had one great note from him that was just like not important what he said, but he just kind of came up and he's very quiet. And because it was the big scene in that first episode when we were approaching the vault, it was also, maybe it was Jude's first day. It's certainly the first day that we all worked with him. So he's got a lot on his plate. He's seeing the entire world and there's, all these moving parts. And he walked up to Jude and he was speaking with him. And at some point he came over to me and he's like, yeah, and then this. And then he just walked away. I'm like, oh, that was great.
Got it.
That was perfection because it was just enough to get the adjustment he wanted. And it also indicated that he was paying attention to everything.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So when you show up on Skeleton Crew, I mean, you're a vet. You've done it before. You're a Star Wars space pirate. Did any of the noobs come up to you and kind of ask you some advice? Like, hey, man, how do we do this thing? How do we channel a Star Wars space pirate?
I think there was none of that. I think everyone was so excited in their own right just to be sitting in the chair, getting these alien makeups put on and putting on these amazing costumes. It was more around like when you're not working or before you go to work, there's a holding area. So you'll get ready in your own space or your own trailer, go get breakfast, and then you all come out, and then you're kind of in the area where they can come and collect you quickly to pull you on a set. That's where we would kind of chit chat and go like, look what we're doing. Can you believe where we are? Oh my God. So there was a lot of that, like, holy moly, look what we are doing.
That's
and
so cool.
It was also like, what else have you done? A little bit of, catch up, chit chat about
sharing more stories here. I got to ask this. I forgot to ask Ravi, and it's a stupid question, so you can tell me to shut up. Did anyone anyone ask Jaleel to do Urkel on set, or were they professional?
I heard no one, even in the trailer. I don't remember any moment where someone tried to bring it up.
Okay, I think
everyone was like, let's let him be.
Yeah, let's not do that, right? Yeah, that's probably not the best way
heard
to
that once or twice.
Did I do that? I mean, come on. Anyone that grew up in the 80s and 90s, it's just that stuff's burnt into your head. All right. I saw a few fans asking this, and I actually wanted to ask you too. I mean, it definitely, and I want to get into some of your Star Wars background before we say goodbye, but it sounds like you've been a lifelong fan. So how rad was it to fly a Star Wars spaceship in The Mandalorian? I mean, because it looks like they put you in one of those, I don't know, green screen volume sets where you're in a fully fleshed out cockpit. What's that like?
Yeah, it was a full on cockpit. It was cool knowing, thank goodness they were kind enough to pull up some of the animatics. So I knew roughly what it gave you something
to work off of.
Yeah, because otherwise, as anyone who has ever said anything about working on a green screen can attest, like, it's really hard to kind of get into it because what are you doing? You're just imagining
Watch
something,
the Star Wars prequels.
It's the right thing. Yeah. You literally are lost. It's hard to even know where to land. Like, what am I don't know what I'm looking at. So seeing the animatics helped lock me into it. Being in the thing, I was like asking everyone, can I push that button? Does anyone have anything established on these things? Can I flip that switch? And they're like, ish.
Yeah, don't break it, damn it.
The only thing I remember really being directed on is like slow down the movements a little bit, because I was like, oh, we're in a race car. Let's like whip the controls here and there. And I think they wanted to be able to choose, at what point they would edit out to the fast stuff.
Okay.
But I wasn't really responsible for the speed of the ship.
Got you.
Yeah.
So is someone directing you like, turn this way, turn that way, get a little more violent with the yoke? I mean, it's just all verbal, essentially.
Pretty specific. Like, they knew, because they had plotted it out already, that I was being slotted into that. So they knew that they needed me to look here, that one of my guys was going to blow up and I needed to react to it, that I needed to turn over here and aim down. Like, it was
and that's all like on hydraulics, I'm assuming, that are programmed to the action beats in terms of like, toss and turning you the ways the ship should be banking.
For that one, No, we were not on a gimbal for that one. We were just on a platform.
Okay.
So any of that went to, as soon as we cut to the CG parts in space, that was the motion for that one. Right. Or, whatever I was doing, which ironically, and now I did it, but this is one of those things when I see it, I'm like, oh man, why'd you do that? I'm guilty. I did it too. I'm in a spaceship. I'm leaning inside the spaceship.
Right.
There's no point to lean
No.
inside the spaceship.
Nah.
The spaceship's just going to turn, and I'm just going to be doing this.
Yeah, it's like
But
you're in
it
a
looks
go-kart
better
or something.
For some reason, for you to go like, woof, I'm turning left. So
That's hilarious.
I was guilty.
Oh, that is hilarious. This one's coming from one of our channel members, Marty. League of Extraordinary Sixers is asking, she saw you on your socials, you're putting together a Skeleton Crew Lego set. So are you a collector of Lego or other collectibles?
I would not say I'm a collector.
Okay.
I would say I absolutely love building Lego. I built models as a kid. I had a bunch of Lego, but not a collector. I just don't. I'm in that stage of like, I love building it and I love seeing them and I love checking out how they were designed to do what they do. And then I'm stuck. I don't know what to do with it after that. Do I stick it on a shelf? Do I tear it apart? Do I tear them all apart and put them in storage? Like, I don't know what to do with them anymore.
That's a healthy way to approach it, because I don't know if you can see my area a little bit. It's a little closed off. I got the Skeleton Crews here. It's a sickness.
Yep.
It's a sickness, my friend. I got Star Wars Barbie dolls all over the place, just sitting on shelves, getting dusty. It's a nightmare, but it's just like, I mean, it's how I grew up. My dad was kind of a collector, and it's kind of my way to, I guess, honor my appreciation of something I dig, like Star Wars. So
yeah. Well, I love seeing people's setups, like whether it be Instagram people or things on YouTube where the background's like, there are rooms devoted to, and like IKEA furniture purchased specifically for, and lighting.
Those shelves, man, those glass shelves from IKEA.
Yeah.
Us Star Wars collectors know them well. There's no doubt about it. Let's kind of go back a little bit. This is a good question again from a channel member, Abby Sky here. What initially kind of drew you to creature acting, and what is the most difficult prosthetic you had to kind of emote in or be in?
Yeah. It wasn't any conscious effort or direction I took. It was more just the opportunities that pop up when you're figuring out the acting career. You either achieve some success as an actor with an audition, or you sneak in via like doing background work. If you aspire to be an actor, you can start doing background to kind of learn how to be on a set while you're also training and trying to get auditions. So I was doing that, getting my union card back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And then I fell into a background gig on Star Trek Insurrection, and I was there for a couple of months and proved myself as a respectful patient, like they could rely on me to not screw around.
Did you get to meet Sir Pat on that set?
I did.
Okay.
In fact, yes. Yeah. Met him.
That's pretty awesome.
I took my one shot to ask him a question one day, and he was very kind and gave me a great answer. And so because of that, then I was brought on to the next one because I lived close and I was the fit model for the Reman Warriors on Nemesis, and then started meeting the makeup artists. And then because again, like my temperament, that I had some acting training, that I was patient and respectful of their work, word gets around. So that's kind of how this niche started developing, is I really genuinely loved what these makeup artists were up to. And I would ask, I was like, can I do more? Like, what can I do to be useful to you guys? And did some demos for some of the trade shows. And then eventually word gets around like, hey, there's a need for a tall, skinny guy. We heard there's this guy named Marty, and can he do this? And one thing leads to another. And then over time, the niche deepens and suddenly you're known as like a creature suit guy, but it was never intentional.
Do you find yourself these days getting called more because of your reputation than you actually having, your agent or your manager go out and find roles for you? Is it more just like, hey, Marty, let's get him on the line. He's perfect for this. Has it become more of that now through, just all your years in the network you've built up?
Yeah, the vast majority of the work that I've done has been because of these professional friendships that I've fostered over the years and their understanding of what I bring to it.
Is there any other Disney properties that you've been a part of, Marty? I'm trying to think.
Disney properties?
Yeah, I think it's just Star Wars up until this point.
Does Timmy Failure, was that a Disney?
I don't know.
The one with the imaginary polar bear?
I don't know.
So I've lived in LA, I've worked in New York, I've worked and lived in the Pacific Northwest, and they shot this movie, Timmy Failure and something. And it was about a little kid. It was based on a book series, a little kid and his imaginary polar bear friend. And a makeup artist friend of mine who lives up in Portland said, "Hey, we're doing this thing. They've got a guy to be in the bear reference suit, but I need a guy to help the guy like take the suit off and like just manage stuff." So I ended up working kind of behind the scenes on that show. So technically, I think, yes, that might be the other Disney thing I've been a part of.
All right. Hopefully there's some young people out there listening to what Marty's telling you. I mean, and I
might have some clue about what he's rambling on about.
Well, no, listen, I mean, I'm a teacher in my other life, and I'm always trying to convince my students, like, hey, it's not necessarily always about your technical skills. It's really a soft skills, just meeting people, networking, adding to your personal network. And as you're hearing from Marti, I mean, it's really how it all came to be. He had an interest in acting and makeup and stuff, and just got himself to those places, started asking the right questions, and things just start to happen, right?
It's huge. And if my younger self were listening to my older self now saying that, I probably wouldn't believe it, because my younger self was like, oh, I'm just going to do this all by myself.
Yeah.
And suddenly, somehow, get a lot of work.
It's going to work.
Yeah. But it really, really, really is about and not like as a ploy, to get what you want, but like just being cool and developing relationships and friendships with people because you're interested.
Correct.
Being interested in what everybody does on a set makes you more valuable than the most talented actor type. You just want to be cool to work with. You just want to be reliable, and you want to be personable. And
because word travels fast in Hollywood, I'd imagine, from a set. Like if someone's a jerk or a pain to work with, I mean, they're pretty much cut off from that person's network of director friends, producers, or whatnot. Sure.
Yeah. And I've seen that from, the words that I've heard in makeup trailers, because that's a pretty small world too.
Yeah.
These artists who are phenomenal in their own rights travel around and come to these different shows, and sometimes they'll group up on a big job, and then they'll all dissipate and group up on another job. So it's everybody knows.
Yeah, I learned that
about everybody,
because like I said, my buddy, he's been out there 20 plus years in stunts, and it's the same thing in the stunt industry. It's like they form almost like groups. They literally almost like wrestling. Like they'll have like the Judgment Day or the Wolf Pack or whatever, and they all get each other jobs and pull them throughout life, pull them through the careers until they get up to, stunt coordinator, and then some of them move into directing. So it really is. Right. And I'm glad you're telling that story, because I was the same way. I think we all are when we're young. We're like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I can do this myself. But it comes down to who you are, who you meet, and how you treat people in the end.
For sure.
100%.
Yeah, in fact, I've been pondering, as I'm now finally recognizing that it's hard for me to admit this, but when I look in the mirror, it confirms it, that I am getting to an age where contribution back is becoming the thing. And I was an elementary education major in school and worked with kids a lot through the years. And I'm pondering putting together a bit of a training course for younger actors from this perspective of what I've done through Creature Suit stuff, but also as like a trained theater guy who loves Shakespeare and recognizes the value of this interpersonal relationship stuff. And especially now that the internet has kind of like put a real dent in our ability to be socially attuned.
Right.
I feel like there's a really good opportunity to kind of clue kids in on what it really takes.
Awesome. Hey, if you ever want to start developing curriculum, hit me up.
Well, now that I know, like
let's go.
Let's talk after.
Yeah, let's go.
This is happening. I mean, I didn't want to like tell anyone that. I'm glad no one's listening, but I think that'd be a really smart thing to do.
I love it. We got someone asking if you're in R-rated content. Just go look at his horror movie work.
I'm in any?
Yeah, I mean, just go look at it. Look at his IMDb. I mean, Smile, Evil.
Wasn't my choice.
Yeah, I mean,
I just said yes to a gig.
Yeah, I mean, he's Mr. Rated R. Come on, go check that out. He's plenty of R-rated roles out there.
For sure.
When you are portraying these characters and you're under these heavy prosthetics, what is the biggest challenge? Is it just staying focused, not kind of letting the makeup and the weight of it get to you?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is remembering everything you need to do for the scene as an actor while managing your own personal needs because of the restrictions oftentimes of the makeups, or some of these creature suits are really hot. So you're going to be hot and sweaty all day. And if you go outside, all that sweat is suddenly going to be really cold. There's a lot of extremes in it. Or, something might be, you'd be surprised at how like a little bit of a bend in the cartilage of your ear could feel after 10 hours.
Yeah. Oh man.
The worst pain ever is like the littlest like.
Did you ever get cauliflower ear from that then? Because I mean that can happen if it's.
No, thank goodness. No, I would do anything I could to figure out in the suit, and this is kind of going towards your question, but like every suit has something where you can
a trick.
Kind of like get a little bit of air into the crotch hole on this one by going with your shoulders, and it'll like suck in a little bit of air and push it out. The bellows trick is really important for creature suits to try to get some air in, but. Yeah, that's the biggest thing is like figuring out, if you can, and over time you learn, what the biggest thing is that's going to be your thorn in your side for that day in that suit.
That makes sense because, like you said, you got to focus on eventually bringing a character to life. But you, as a human, your brain, that in there is probably like, shit, this hurts. Like all I can focus on is my cartilage killing me right now, and that could affect your performance. Right. So I get that,
which is a real trick in that interpersonal thing too. When you're young and you don't want to say no to anything, you want to be like, yeah, I'll do anything. Yeah,
I'll stand here for 18 hours in a hot box. Yeah.
Right. And you might be afraid to ask for something. Like when I was young, I was afraid to ask for anything.
You're getting woozy, right? You're like, ooh.
Do you remember the Land of the Lost movie with Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
So I was a slee stack in that.
Okay.
Those suits were head to toe. The second they popped the eyes on, you would just fog over. It was incredibly hot. And the first few days, they hadn't quite worked out how cold they needed to have the stage to accommodate us. I remember the first day, everyone was like, I'm not going to be the first one to pass out. Nope. Just a bunch of toughy toughs.
Yeah, right.
To go. Like, that's ridiculous. Everyone should have been like, you know what? We're all going to pass out. Can you crank it down?
Yeah, let's go. Like, hey, we're all here to have fun and maybe get another role, but we don't want to die.
Yeah, it's always reasonable to state something reasonably about your health, comfort, safety.
More great advice for those of you looking to break into the biz as a creature actor. Speaking of all your non-human characters you brought to life, Marty, do you have a personal favorite? You don't have to say Vane just because you're on a Star Wars show, but do you have one that you're like, damn, I love that character?
I typically bounce between a couple few, and they're some of the more recent ones, because I've gotten the opportunity to do more of what I always trained to do, which is character performance as an actor. So clearly Vane, because there's stuff to do.
Yeah.
And the Vulture Judge in Red One, that was an opportunity. I got to explain the rules of the game. So there was stuff to do in a beautiful makeup that.
Yeah, it was wild.
That thing was so textury, but it moved so well.
Didn't you? You had like full wings too, didn't you? Almost.
Oh yeah. These really beautiful, elaborate wings that would attach, and these big talon fingers, and that was an amazing bird. And then probably also kind of along the same lines is this character George, which was the first character introduced on that show Evil, that ran 4 seasons on Paramount Plus and now is coming to Netflix.
Excellent.
But George was this kind of dream demon character who creeps up on the lead and introduces himself as George, who will be now harassing him.
Oh, freaky deaky.
Yeah, for sure. But tons of fun because there's opportunity to do stuff. So anything like that?
Out of the genres you act in, do you prefer one over the other? I mean, do you tend to gravitate towards horror, or do you like the sci-fi fantasy stuff better?
I'm not a fan of horror. I don't dig it too much.
Right.
I like smart anything, intelligent writing, beautiful production, anything along that. I don't really care so much about the genre. I love sci-fi. I'm watching Silo right now. I think that qualifies as sci-fi.
I need to get back to season 2. Start season 2. I'm kind of letting it build up. I'm assuming is it fully finished?
I think, what's the date today? I think they just finished season 2.
All right.
Yeah, I'm all excited. And in fact, now we're on another track here. Last night there was a talk with Hugh, the writer of the books, and Amor Tolls, who wrote Gentleman in Moscow, which was also produced with Ewan McGregor in the lead for that TV show, talking about the writing process and then what it's like to have your written work be transformed into a TV show. So for you sci-fi buffs, go check that out.
All right. Well,
but yeah, sci-fi is great. I love it.
Did
we get to the question? You said something about like favorite character in that.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. You got it down. You hit it.
Hardest makeup. That was the one that we didn't get to.
All right.
Sleepy Hollow, older show, used to be on Fox TV. Another like a monster of the week kind of a thing. There was one when the character Moloch, which was like the big bad that we kind of saw sporadically throughout the series, he finally got into the world toward the end, and it was this beautiful inky black horns, hooves, phenomenal, difficult. It was 20 plus silicone appliances. I was head to toe painted black.
Ooh.
Full scleral eyeballs and massive teeth and this horn apparatus that I had to hold up, and I was balancing up on my toes to make the hooves work. Outdoor location at night.
Yeah,
tricky.
That sounds like an experience, if anything.
Yeah.
You're basically being forced to walk in heels in a prosthetic suit outside. Can't be fun.
Off you go, Marty.
Yeah. Yeah, they're asking, so Vane survived. Where have you guys been? Of course, Vane is alive. We didn't see a body. You know how it goes in Star Wars. Vane lives. We'll start getting shirts printed, right? Frodo lives. Vane lives. Same thing.
Yeah.
Let's get it going. Hashtag Vane lives.
He didn't explode. I saw no Vane explosions.
Well, Marty, not quite done yet.
Sure.
We got some rapid fire. I call them icebreakers, even though they're at the end of the interview. That's just because you're a fantastic gentleman to talk to. We've been kind of just riffing.
Thanks, brother.
Riffing since we went live. You've almost given me 2 hours of your night, so I cannot thank you enough for that. But before I let you go, I just want to rip a couple quick ones here to kind of figure out your Star Wars fandom and then what Marty's doing right now as a human.
Okay.
And then we'll let you go. But again, I just appreciate you being here for the Star Wars Time Show and our little audience. They're loving it. I can tell you they're loving it.
It's been a treat.
They are loving it. So, Marty, is it safe to say you're a lifelong Star Wars fan? Sounds like it. Sounded you were there at 7 and it just never let a hold of you.
I would say medium Star Wars fan.
Okay.
I love Star Wars, but I've not... time. It's hard to love a lot of stuff and really, really, really deep dive. So I've read a few of the books, not really dipped into the comics. It took a friend pestering me to watch Clone Wars numerous times before I finally was watching it and like, oh God, that's what he was talking about. Of course, this is great. Thank you. Yeah, but love the movies. You know, I can listen to people's quibbles about this sequels or this prequels and kind of understand where everyone's coming from, but I don't care because it's part of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's Star Wars.
So,
it's all Star Wars in the end.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Star Wars movie then?
Empire.
All right. I kind of figured it'd be in the OT era. I'm a Jedi guy. I think,
nice.
And I've explained this. I don't know. I was little when I saw Empire. I didn't like the good guys losing, and it just messed. I've never recovered from that, Marty. Seeing it at a certain age, I was just like, you know what? I don't like when good guys lose. So how about...
Well, somehow I was able to transcend my trauma after the third viewing, though, because I seriously, after the first viewing, I think my mom can attest, I came out of the theater and I was a little bit wrecked.
Yeah. Do you remember getting... Good. So you saw it live in theater. What was it like to get the Vader reveal to Luke? I mean, were you just like, holy crap, as a little kid? Or did it make sense to you? I mean, did it resonate that moment?
I don't think I was able to process it. I think I was in shock. And then for the rest of the movie, I'm like, wait a minute. What? No, how's that going to work? No. And then they all just split away from each other.
Yeah.
It seems like all the movies I knew, you come together.
Yeah.
And then somehow there's a nice tidy bow. And
that's what I mean, man. That movie can mess with you if you're young. It can mess with you.
Yeah, it did. It was probably the first movie I saw that made me start thinking a little more adult thoughts about like the world and mortality. And
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty earth shaking.
That's awesome. Do you have a standout moment from the franchise, like a scene that you just like, yeah, I love that. I love that part of Star Wars.
I just talked about this with someone recently, and yeah, I've got to say it again because it is part of that. It's part of Empire Strikes Back, and it's what always points out to me really effective storytelling, which isn't someone just going and saying everything. I want to see it. I want to see it read on someone's face, and I want to understand the emotion they're feeling because then I feel it. This is the experience I think we're all looking for. This is why Skeleton Crew was so effective. It made me feel like it felt to be a kid. But the moment in Empire Strikes Back, early on, when they're on Hoth, Luke's out in the snow, Han Solo's going to find him. It's getting dark. The temperatures are dropping rapidly. We have to close the blast doors, shield doors. And that was the first inkling as a kid. I'm like, wait a minute, no. You can't close the doors. The guys are out there, and the doors are closing anyway. The doors didn't care what I thought. And you see it on Leia's face. Even C-3PO, bless his little heart, he tried to help, but he couldn't. Yeah. And Chewie, it's Chewie.
That yell, man.
It's Chewie's moment. He knows what's happening. He yells, and then the absolute icing on the cake is the lean forward when he like dunks his head on the ladder and goes, and he whimpers. Oh, it can bring a tear to my eye today.
Now you talk about Chewbacca. I mean, essentially, Peter Mayhew he's a creature performer, right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, is that someone you could look up to, or did you ever think about that, make that connection? Like, hey, man, look at this guy.
Yeah, I never thought that I could reach out, but that would have been an interesting thing to be, because I think I never wanted to be like, oh, I'm fanning someone. But I think when you express genuine appreciation for someone's work in a sincere way, anyone worth their salt is going to respect and respond to that.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that it wasn't a conscious thing when I was getting into it. I was like, oh, I'm going to be Peter Mayhew now. But yeah, like now I can understand what that guy went through and what he brought to that character, because that was difficult.
It was all physical, right? I mean, it's all, everything he does is all emoting through motion versus words. Yeah.
What he could do with his eyes, what he could do with his body. It wasn't his mouth, so he didn't have a lot of control over, like, you know,
barely even moved back then. They didn't quite have the prosthetics that you all get to wear now. So
yeah.
Well, you already kind of answered this one. It sounds like you're currently binging on Silo. I was going to ask you what you're currently watching these days, but I think we got that out of the way.
It's the S shows. I'm dipping back into Silo and C. I'm watching C.
Oh, okay, with Momoa, right, on Apple TV. That's a good one. It's a nice short 3 seasons, has a pretty complete arc. So
I'm just finishing season 1, dipping into season 2, also because I was trying to catch up with the gentleman I worked with on Sleepy Hollow. His name is Tom Misen, and I know he shows up in season 2 as someone.
Yeah, so. No, that's a good one. I mean, that's like, I know we're a bit of a tangent here, and we got to get you out of here, but
all good.
Apple TV Plus, some banger content, they just don't promote it. Like, no one knows that these shows exist. I mean, Silo, Shrinking with Harrison Ford and Jason Segel.
Shrinking's great.
It's amazing.
Another show.
I finally finished season 2. That show, it may be the best written show I've ever watched. It's amazing.
I peeled away. I'm going to go back onto that one now as well. It's delightful.
The ending episode of season 2 is going to smack you. It's a good one. It gets emotional. All right. How about what's the last movie you watched, Marty?
Last movie I watched. It was recent. I've been watching so much TV and been so excited about the finale of this Skeleton Crew. I don't remember the last movie I watched.
Did you go see?
I remember it being good.
Nosferatu yet?
I've not seen that yet. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank.
What came out last week? I'm trying to think, because I think I went and saw one last week, but I already can't remember.
Yeah, it wasn't something super current. I think I saw something after this, but I know we watched Die Hard around Christmas because that's what you do when you like Christmas movies, which
now do you go to Die Hard 2? Because that also kind of ends Christmassy Or do you just stick with Die Hard 1 for your Christmas viewing?
A lot of franchises I appreciate as the whole. For me, it's Die Hard and only Die Hard.
Okay, it stops there. Got you.
Yep.
Got you.
I'm satisfied.
Now, Marty, I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do you play any games? Do you play video games, board games? Are you into any sort of gaming? Cards? Play little euchre?
For some reason, I kind of have a revulsion for card games.
Okay.
Not even just a
That's
mild
awesome.
disinterest, but a little bit of a disdain for card
That
games.
is so cool.
And I'm not sure why. Like, cards themselves are kind of cool.
So
You
when you
know, I'll
walk
get a
into a
deck out
casino,
every
do you
once in a while.
start like punching out the blackjack dealers? You're like, get those damn cards
flipping
out of my
tables.
face. Oh, I love it.
I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what it is. There's like, I really love chess.
Okay.
I learned backgammon only a few years ago, and I like that. I like the stuff when it's one person to another person, and there's strategy or layers of strategy. That's pretty fun. But something about like all the math and the speed. Speed card games are the worst.
Yeah.
I hate those.
Yeah, I don't do.
And yet, you went to video games. So from chess, I could jump straight to, and I've had to put this away because it was taking too much time
Okay.
because this is what we do. I was pretty obsessed with Call of Duty.
Oh, okay. So you still game then?
Really?
You game regularly or when you can?
I was, but then I realized how much time I was spending doing it.
It can
'Cause,
happen.
You know, the psychological hooks are well thought out and well built.
Yeah.
They want you to stay there.
Oh yeah.
And they know how. I haven't used that scope yet. Maybe it's
Ooh,
cool.
Yeah, got to unlock it. Oh, it's 2 a.m. Crap.
What about that puzzle? Ooh, I should try. Oh, you know, that's exactly it. You know, there were nights when I'm like, I'm just going to binge my game and then I'll be done for a while.
All right.
No, I'm just going to sleep late and then try to do it again. But the problem that I have is that with most games, like I went through the God of War series when they were happening, and I want to set my difficulty dial all the way down to easy, and I want to see it all and experience the story.
Same way,
and just,
man.
like,
I'm the same way
revel
now.
in the beauty of the
Yep.
game. I want to see the design. I don't care about the same fighting mechanics
Mm-hmm.
and the same bosses. I don't care. If I could just like play a little bit and watch it all, great. So Call of Duty
Love it.
kind of did that for me. Plus, I'm not on somebody else's path.
Yeah.
I can play with the world and like throw my own strategy in there. So as an old guy, I don't know if any young people watching, first of all, your neuroplasticity really annoys me. You guys can think quickly and react quickly.
They're no fun to
So
play
that's not my
multiplayer
game.
shooters with.
Everyone crying about campers and hardscopers can just go suck it. Because that's my jam.
Yeah.
I will
Get
sit back in a
some.
corner. I'll find a little hidey hole and I will lock in and just wait for someone to walk. Pop their head.
See ya. Oh, that is
Yeah.
too cool, man.
Sure.
Too
Or what's
cool.
really fun is, like I was saying, like, you know, I don't know how far off the deep end. This is your quick answer to your quick questions.
man.
That's going on.
If you're having fun, I'm
Um,
having fun. So go for
I
it.
just set up a few traps where you can watch through the scope. Like I'll hope this is my like dream scenario in Call of Duty. I'm on the map called Rust. I will set some C4 on the backside of a door that I know people are going to run through. I'll try to run all the way across the map. I'll climb up the barrels, get up onto the grate, and I'll just crouch down and I'll scope in and I'll just wait. And then as soon as I see someone, I'll set off the C4.
Oh, this
Best. Make me so happy,
Yeah.
and then everyone just rages.
get rewarded for your planning. That is too good, man. That is too
If
good.
I ever go back in, because I'm not, I had to put it
It's banned. It's banned in the
far away.
Matulis household.
until I book another real job
Yeah.
and make some money.
Yeah, you're done.
No game.
Okay, fair enough.
Someday.
Oh, that is awesome. All right, I got two more for you. What artists
I'll
you
make them
listening
shorter.
to these days? Music-wise, what's on your playlist?
Oh, currently, Ren.
Okay.
You know Ren?
I don't. What?
I don't even know if he goes by any more name than Ren, but Ren is all you need. Get on
All right.
Spotify or YouTube.
I'll
Actually,
check
go
that
to YouTube.
out.
Deep dive Ren.
What sort of
This
genre are we
dude.
talking about? What is this Ren?
I wouldn't know how to categorize.
Oh, okay.
He can rap. He can sing. He's a guitar player.
I'm down.
He's a storyteller. He's gone through some serious trauma, and he's a young guy. and his heart is just ripping out every song that he
Oh
sings.
boy.
It's incredible.
Okay.
It's incredible.
Is it the type of music you like to maybe go to when you want to feel a little sad, or is it, just makes you want to think?
It's more like maybe you want to listen to it if you want to process some anger with a lot of heart.
Okay. Excellent. Ren,
It's not a relaxing thing. It's more like, oh, you did it. Or,
I can feel
he's still going through it. Oh,
All right.
he hit that note on that guitar with his voice. There's something cathartic about it, but also it's a very intense. It's intense.
I will definitely check out Ren right after this. And my last question for you, Marty.
Yeah.
Do you even care about sports? And if you do you have a favorite sports team or teams?
Nope.
All right. Fair enough.
I used to keep up a little bit. What I enjoyed the most when I was watching more is men's tennis.
All right.
Singles. Because again, kind of like chess. I could see what was going on,
1v1.
appreciate the strategy, the responses, the attacks. Yeah. Yeah, that was good stuff for me.
Yeah, just random. I was watching it's out there in LA, but they started that TGL golf league, the indoor golf league last night. It's wild.
Indoor golf?
Yeah, it's the Tigers, but it's like 3-man teams from around the country, and they compete in this massive indoor arena at Palm Beach State. And
are they trying to kill each other with the ball?
Well, a professional almost clocked one right into the stand yesterday, and if it didn't hit the pin, it probably would have hit someone right in the face, very close. So
intense.
Yeah, it just looks real cool. The tech looks super neat. All right, I'm not going to waste your time.
I can appreciate that. No, that's right up my alley. I'll look that up.
Indoor golf. Yeah, it's cool. It's like I think they're live events, 2 hours on it's Tuesday nights, I think, on ESPN. It just started. Tigers and all the big names are involved, but it's like I need this simulator in my backyard. I mean, it is massive. I mean, they're hitting into like a legitimate IMAX screen. It is pretty neat. All right, Marty. Well, we started on Star Wars and Skeleton Crew. We ended on indoor golf. It was a wide-ranging discussion that I thoroughly appreciate. I mean, this gentleman essentially spent 2.5 hours with me. He was here a little bit before the show, and then 2 hours on, and I cannot thank you enough. I had a fantastic time, great conversation, and when Skeleton Crew Season 2 gets announced, we'd love to chat with you again when we learn that Vane has lived and he's working on getting out of a New Republic prison.
I want to see that.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Yeah, you Gunther, and some of the other pirates that got stuck on that and have like a breakout film.
I do want to see them just trying to work out their daily routines, like who gets to brush their teeth first.
I bet it gets a little tense in those bathrooms with space pirates. All right, Marty, thank you again. Make sure to check him out. Marti Matulis. He's at Marti Matulis on Instagram. You can see him in Mandalorian as Vane, Skeleton Crew as Vane, and all sorts of creatures in American Horror Story, Teen Wolf, Studio 666, Evil, Smile. He's everywhere. Been doing it for 20 years. He is the best at bringing those monsters, those creatures, those space aliens to life. Thank you again, Marty. I appreciate you. Have a good rest of your night.
Thanks, brother.
Right.
Appreciate you.
See you, man. Woo-wee. All right, people. I was not expecting that, but I'll take it. It didn't really matter that Nick didn't show up today, huh? We just spent over 2 hours talking with Vane, the space pirate from Skeleton Crew. So that was pretty great. Thank you again there, Justin, my pal. That was just a great hookup and access there. All right, people. That was awesome. Let me hit Marty real quick through Skype. Just to let him know he was awesome. All right. So that was cool. Well, heck, man, it's already it's already 7 o'clock. We've already been doing, Marty and I, now just myself and the mouse I keep in my pocket to call myself for 2 hours talking a lot. I feel kind of whooped. I don't know if I can actually do a full-on Skeleton Crew Episode 8 breakdown the way I want to. It wouldn't be as fun anyways without Nick, so I might just briefly talk a little bit about Skeleton Crew finale. Obviously, my long-form My long form review is out there on YouTube right now. I'd love for everyone to go check it out. Give it a like, leave it some comments. Let's try to get this one up into the thousands, just like all of my other Skeleton Crew breakdowns have kind of shaked out. So great stuff there. Yeah, Star Wars Order. We use Skype. It's an easy way to pull people into OBS and then broadcast them to YouTube. Not a main. Yeah, I don't know about special episode tomorrow there, Rory Schmidt, but we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I am a little fatigued. Today was a long day. I'm back at real work, so I had to get up extra early to do my finale breakdown. And then I went right into a 2.5-hour lecture on HTML, hit the cold gym, which is my garage that is now 20 degrees, did a little guitar, and then I was right on the horn with Marty. So I am starting to burn out as a human without having my co-pilot Chewbacca here to kind of talk a little bit, so I don't have to. So I'm just hanging out with the fans right now. If you're listening to the podcast only version, I'm trying to get my head back and centered. It's always awesome talking to people like Marty and learning about, their lives and what it's like to work in the industry, and even better, what it's like to work on Star Wars. Because I know, like myself, most of you are probably like, damn, I wish that was me. I wish I got to do what Ravi got to do, or what Marty is getting to do. And, I feel the same way. So it's so cool to talk to these people. And as you can see, they're super relatable. They're personable. They got great stories. And I think Marty really had a lot of good advice here for people in general. You don't even have to be an actor, a creature actor. Just what are you talking about, just talking to people, being nice, asking questions, learning new things. That is what is going to pull you through life and get those gigs that you really want to get. Yeah, Star Wars Order, that would be nice. Star Wars Order in the live chat saying, who's next? George Lucas? Hey, you never know. I'll ask, right? I'm never afraid to ask. It's just a no, if you know what I mean. And no's never hurt. I used to be scared of no's, but these days it's like, oh, well, who cares, right? A no is a no. It's not going to kill me. All right, so let's do a little bit about this. I will briefly talk about Skeleton Crew, the finale, and I'm going to save the really deep stuff for next week when Nick's back. It's just more fun for me. I'm sorry. I know it's going to be a week stale, and no one's probably going to hear about it. We usually do our new Star Wars show Punch-Out episode a week after their finale airs, but maybe we'll double it up next week, revisit our preseason prediction in once, and also have a deeper dive into episode 8. But as you heard me, if you've watched my YouTube review, or if you just heard Marty and I talking, I loved it. I really thought it was a damn near perfect finale. Like most of you, yes, I'm greedy. I wish there was a few more minutes. Give us the 50 minutes that were teased last week. But I still think it did its job. I mean, in my opinion, as I told Marty, it wrapped all of the plot threads that I was talking about all season long. I feel like I got what I needed to know about At-Aten and why it was special, why it was hidden, what was going on there, what's going on with the supervisor. If you notice, a lot of our predictions kind of rang true. We got the call back on Neil using the turret. Got the call back, or the supervisor truly was just AI. And sometimes I think we were like, oh, I need a deeper explanation. And it's like, no, I mean, if you understand computer science and programming and droids and AI, those supervisors, they had one job. And you heard it from this supervisor here. Must, as it was dying, what was it saying? Must protect the mint. That's all these supervisors cared about. They didn't care about what was happening in the galaxy. I mean, we learned that the supervisor knew the Republic basically was gone. Last communication was, over 30 years ago. It didn't care. All it cared about was keeping the mint safe and keeping the people producing. So it made sense why this planet was lost, why the people that lived on the planet were stuck essentially in a loop for generations, as we learned, and how they knew it and they accepted it. Right? Remember? I mean, Farah, when Jod's like, your leader is a droid, and she's like, the great work decrees it. So, I mean, the At-Aten people, due to the great work, due to the supervisor, and really just being kind of kept in this hidden their own little world, not knowing what was going on the outside, they accepted it, and they felt like they were making a sacrifice, a contribution to the galaxy. It reminded me, it was almost like they were almost like religious zealots almost. They were so committed to the great work that they knew they were being controlled and told what to do, what jobs they could be by a droid. We got another one. It's like, okay, how's this Jod guy know how to use the Force? And does he even know how to use the Force? And now we know he does. And it lines up with kind of what I was teasing in the preseason when I found this listing for a Jedi Nina in the Wood. Now, it wasn't his mom, it wasn't his sister, but it was a female Jedi that found him as a kid that was on his own, saw potential in him, trained him, and unfortunately could not finish the training before the Purge caught up to her. So, and the last one, probably the silliest, was Tack Renard, right? You know, what happened? Was he the AI? Is he the one that made AT-AT the way it is and made sure it was lost and that they just kept producing credits? No. In the end, people, SM-33 told us the truth. Tack Renard died on the Onyx Cinder. He never got a damn credit. I mean, literally, that mutiny en route to AT-AT was it. I mean, they mutinied and the ship probably crashed and there we go. So we got those answers. We got wonderful performances from the kids again, Ravi in particular, especially at the end when, you know, he's kind of looking towards his future. I thought that was really well done. Ryan as well. The destruction of the barrier, the arrival of the B-Wings as a nice little Easter egg reference here. They actually used their quad cannons, you know what I mean? That was pretty awesome. So to me, yes, I would have liked a longer episode. Yes, I would have liked maybe a little bit of an epilogue, but if you think about it, it ended damn near perfectly. I mean, it really was. We had things wrapped up. All the kids grew. The parents even grew here in the last episode, and it was just Skeleton Crew, well done from start to finish. It is sad that it's not getting the eyes that it deserves, but this is one show, kind of like The Mandalorian, where it's like, no, let's run this back. Let's keep this going. Let's get a season 2. You know, let's keep this cast together. Let's keep this world together. You know, let's branch them out into the open galaxy now that AT-AT has been forced to kind of return to reality. I mean, if you think about it, there's tons of potential now for AT-AT and how it plays into the New Republic now. Is Thrawn going to get wind of it? Is he going to want to go and try and get all those credits? So I think it was a great show. It ended on a great note. And I'm not really necessarily knocking the Acolyte, but that was a show that was billed to kind of be, hey, it's limited and whatever's brought up in season 1 will be resolved. And it wasn't. And unfortunately, that show got canceled. So now we're all left kind of going, well, shit. What's going to happen with Plagueis? What is going on with Kamir? You know, what is going on with Vernestra? It's just like, that's gone. But that's not the case with Skeleton Crew. If they don't get a season 2, guess what? We got everything we could ask for in season 1, and that's a testament to Chris Ford and John Watts and the cast and crew and all the directors they brought in. It was good stuff. It was good stuff. And like Marty said, I think I might go and rewatch it all now that I can just enjoy it. I don't have to worry about processing it and looking for nuance to craft theories over. So I'm pretty pumped. Hey there, we got, what is this? Light Blinded FO. Your name's a little bit cut off. What are we saying here? Oh, Light Blinded Fool saying predictions for S2 and how this will affect the greater Star Wars universe. New Republic gets the funding to go properly take out the bad guys. Yeah, I guess Light Blinded, I was kind of riffing on that. Clearly, the New Republic's going to move in here. I mean, they already brought a CR-90 Corvette. That typically is going to have like the diplomatic personnel to start talking to not a new civilization, but a new planet, a new people. I mean, clearly the citizens of At-Aten are going to be shell-shocked after the events of the finale. I mean, for generations, these people have never seen an outsider. And over, a course of it seemed like a day and a half, 2 days, they had a emissary ship show up after probably decades, if not hundreds of years. And then they had a pirate frigate come through their sky and start blowing stuff up. Not to mention that they're now having New Republic X-Wings show up and space battles taking place in their direct atmosphere. So they are going to be a little blown out. Like, I think there's going to be some mental health crises with the At-Atens. So, light blinded, I think you could just pick right back up there. Watts and Ford have said if they get a season 2, they're definitely going to do about a 3 to 4 year time jump to account for the kid cast growing up in real life. So I think that could be awesome. What has At-Aten turned into? Has it fully assimilated into the New Republic? Were they a little kind of anti? Like, no, we've been doing this on our own for years. We want nothing to do with you. And you have to think this mythical planet that most people in the, it sounds like during the end of the Republic, maybe even during the High Republic, definitely through the Empire and now into the New Republic era, everyone thought At-Aten was just a legend, a myth. So now when they find out that it was real, it's been found, and now its protective maelstrom has been disabled, it's basically like putting up a spotlight into space for ne'er-do-wells. All right, so I could definitely see the Imperial remnant, if not Thrawn himself, catching wind of the events of Skeleton Crew and definitely taking an interest. I think it was made very clear at the end. I think it was Neil's like, "Hey, Wim, now you don't have to take the assessment," and they made it very clear. Win staring up, kind of dreaming of his new future, and that new future looks like he wants to be in the New Republic Navy, behind the yoke of an X-wing. So I think there's a lot of potential now for these characters to kind of start to assimilate with the rest of the Star Wars galaxy. And the way this episode ended, I know there's been rumors that the Skeleton Crew cast, the kids, maybe Jod, might show up Mandalorian Grogu in some capacity. Makes complete sense now, okay? Makes complete sense now, because At-Aten is no longer this hidden secret that has to stay hidden. It has joined the party. So yeah, League saying here Kim needs her own series. Yeah, that's another one I kind of predicted last week, but that was telegraphed. And unfortunately, if you're like me, I try to skip episode recaps, because usually the recaps are curated to show you like, oh, by the way, you might have forgot about this a few episodes back, and that's always kind of a tip off that it's going to happen. So we did kind of get that tease early on about Kim in the recap of previous episodes. So I go way deeper into my thoughts on At-Aten, when it disappeared and all that fun stuff in my full review up on youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. So just to spare my vocal cords and my body and my brain a bit, I'm probably going to chill on the rest of breaking down Skeleton Crew. By all means, we'll come back to the finale next week so I can talk to young Nick about his thoughts. We got to figure out what my partner with the SWTS thought. And I obviously I have some questions to ask him. If you're new here, we have a part of our breakdown because we're smart. We use big words here on the Star Wars Time Show. So at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring us over to the fan segment. It's going to be a little different. Because Nick has been so ill, we did not do the top 5 this week. So apologies to all you talented artists out there that were, putting your submissions in. It definitely didn't happen this week. We'll get the top 5 going again next week. But I figured might as well go ahead and do some Ask Us Anything and then Question of the Week, and then we will say goodbye. It's been real, people. Love all you diehards in here. Appreciate you. League's been in here. Star Wars Orders becoming a regular. Appreciate you. Good to see you. It looks like a new one in here. Light Blinded Fool. We were just chatting. Of course, Bat, Divided. Nova was in here. Sir Dork earlier. Cole Cowan showed up. Love seeing the regulars. Let's just keep it going. I know we're rolling out a new Star Wars, so we're probably going to lose some of the strange that could fall in here, but hopefully out of all these new subs we've added, some people decide to stick around and start getting into the lives. All right, so let me go ahead and get my screen shifted up here. We'll do a little Ask Us Anything question of the week, and then I'm going to put this show to bed, my friends. It's been a fun one, but I'm sorry, I'm getting exhausted. I really am. I really am getting exhausted. All right, here we go. We'll start with some questions here. Let me pull up my handy dandy board. Browser, you go away. Slack, you come up. Oh, come on. Why you do that, vertical stream? My vertical stream always doesn't want to show the right window. All right, not Skype. How about Slack? Okay, here we go. That's right. League saying Andor is next. That's coming April 22, I believe. Yeah, guess what? That's I'm already starting to stress out about that because that show's 12 episodes long. So we're looking at minimum 3 months of coverage. 3 months of coverage. That means 3 months of my dead ass spending a lot of time making Star Wars content that may or may not be viewed. Now, if it pans out like Skeleton Crew and my breakdowns are getting, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, I believe went over 13,000. Yeah, then I'll get into it. But the problem here, just like this damn show, having 2 episodes kind of play over the holiday break, I'm going to be at the beach for 2 weeks of Andor's broadcast, and I'm already starting to feel the anxiety, my friends. Already starting to feel the anxiety, so we'll see. All right, here we go. This question is coming from Rippick__tan. What do you think happens to @ now? Hopefully you've been listening, Rippick, because I think I just did all that. I think the New Republic kind of brings it in, kind of sets up some triage to help the people. They'll definitely kind of do that. Oh yeah, hey, we're gonna protect you thing. But yeah, sure, they're gonna want some of those credits. I think the bad guys, it'll come up on their radar, and it could be a bit of a plot point in the Mandalorian Grogu movie now that it is open to the galaxy. So I'll leave it at that. All right, sorry. A little ill here. This one's coming from Abigail Sky, our friend Divided Skywalker on YouTube. If your pets could speak, what would they say about you? Okay, well, my pets do speak, so I know exactly what they say. I am essentially their personal God, their Jesus Christ. The ground I walk on, they worship. They love me. They tell me they love me all the time. They want to be with me at all times. Female cat Leia, for most of the day, wants to give me a hemorrhoid, so she sits behind me and makes me sit on the edge of the seat. She always thanks me for that. But I really think my pets would be like, you know what? This is the greatest tall meat bag that has ever pet us. He takes care of us. He talks to us. He lets us sleep in bed while he's herkle-durkling in the morning. He gives us our treats in the morning and in the evening. And he scoops the poop out of our pretty litter. So yes, Leia the girl and Stripes the boy. They love their, as I say, their own personal Jeebus H. Christo. Okay, next question. We've got from Scion XTC. You're stranded on an island. Okay. What's the one thing you take with you? Holy crap, I only get one thing. I only get one thing on an island. This is kind of a cheat, but Scion, you leave it pretty open. I'm bringing a fully staffed, never run out of food kitchen Chipotle. Boom! No better answer. Okay? I'm on an island, I'm stranded, and I have a whole damn Chipotle to myself. All right? And like I said, it's magical. The ingredients never run out. They always stay fresh. I can just sit there and make burritos nonstop. And they have all their special meats. They're not limited time only anymore on my island. Brisket isn't going away next week on my Chipotle Island restaurant. All the meats. The adobo chicken, the chicken al pastor, the brisket. They would never, ever leave the menu. And I would always make my burritos the correct size, unlike the little handheld grenade potato spuds that they form these days. I digress. All right. Well, there's our Ask Us Anything for this week, short and to the point. Ooh, look at that. Divided has a burrito emoji. Now that is awesome. I don't even think that's a channel perk. Light blinded fools. I'd bring a helicopter. Okay, that might beat my Chipotle answer there. Light blinded. I like that. See, I'm playing checkers. You're playing chess. You know what I mean? All right. Let's just skip over to the question of the week responses. We do it every week. We put it up on all of our social networks. You just got to be following. Turn on those notifications. But we ask our fans a question for the week that's usually themed to whatever we're talking about on the show. So naturally, the past few weeks, we've been asking you all, hey, wait, do you like Skeleton Crew or do you not like Skeleton Crew? So this week, we asked them, what was your favorite or least favorite part of Skeleton Crew episode 8? Okay? And here we go. There we got Mary Antonia. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, okay, Mary must be a little bit on delay. Ravi was looking up. They're known as a CR-90 Corvette. It's the one that Leia was on back in A New Hope. They're sometimes referred to as blockade runners. Very iconic Star Wars ship. But now, let's get into our question of the week responses from our fans. First one coming from Bango. He's saying, hey, nothing specific, but I feel kinda underwhelmed. Not saying it was bad, but it felt a bit rushed. It could have used another 10 or 15 minutes closing the loop with Jod, etc. I've seen this, and honestly, I'm not going to call Bango a dumb idiot for that take. I don't think it's an idiotic take. And listen, in my Star Wars greed, sure, I would have loved another 10 or 15 minutes to get a little epilogue, but I still think the way it ended, we know what's going to happen to Jod. And I kind of like it being somewhat open in nature, so... I dug it. I really thought the finale was titties, as we like to say sometimes. Okay, next one here. This is coming from Gavin Romero 3698 from YouTube. My least favorite part was the beginning because it was a little slow, but my favorite part is when the action begins. I especially like when Neil mans the giant gun to fire at the pirate ship. He's definitely going to get Runa's attention for sure after that. Hey now, what about hey nah over on Akron, right? Hey, that's another thing. Now that At-Aten is discoverable, they know where Akron is at. Do they send the New Republic to Akron to save all those war-torn individuals and reintroduce them to society? Do they bring the Akron people over to At-Aten? I don't know. Something to think about. All right, switching over to Instagram replies here. 2797_studios, our boy Bat. What a fun ride. I really enjoyed the entire series. I got to be honest and say my favorite part was the fact that no hero showed up to save the day. I know. I thought Mando was going to show up. I was wrong, and I'm glad. Watching the crew become their own heroes was a journey, and I loved it. SM-33 is still my favorite. Never underestimate a droid. I really think the show and these kids have a future in our galaxy far, far away. I don't know, people. I think I might be better at reading the question of the weeks than Nick. I'm a little more emotive, but I still think Nick is more fun when he does it, right? Nick is definitely more fun when he does the question of the week. I love listening to him read. I just do. I love that guy. All right, Johnny Osage Avenue. Hello, SWTS. That's us, by the way. I thought the final episode was good. It left lots of open ends to build on. True. The speeder bike scene was great. Definitely was one of my top moments. Super ET vibes. The piloting of KB and SM-33, very cool. I did like how They're just like, yeah, we'll just wire your head back on and you carry it in your crotch. That was kind of nice. I dig that. Very fitting for SM33. Anyways, Johnny goes on to say, but that pose of Wim with saber lit and Fern with fists clutched, it was so Han and Luke. I loved it. Again, this series was great. I don't always like kid actors, but these kids were amazing. LFG with season 2, Skeleton Crew, never say die. All right. Might be getting too emotive now. Excuse me. Up next, Rippick Tan. Favorite part is after Neil is blown off his bike, then rolls out of the way of the pirate searchlight. You know what? That's great, man. Good for you, Rippick. That was a great little moment. I love that. Little Neil doing his army roll. Fantastic growth for our little blue dude. All right, League of Extraordinary Sixers. The speed bike scenes were top notch, and we got another Neil bath time. He sure loves his Neil time. That is right. I know what I was doing all the time in the bathroom around Neil's age. So what is Neil really doing in there? Okay, how many bubbles do you really need in that tub, young man? All right, Cyan XTC, great episode. I really like that it ended in such a way that we can get a second season or spin-offs, or it can end as is. Exactly. I feel satisfied, but still wanting more. This series was so well done and a breath of fresh air for Star Wars. Mando_mugshots. Not seen it yet, but hoping to before tonight's show. Well, Mando, hopefully you got to see it, and hopefully you were able to tune in for Marti, a.k.a. Vane Matulis. And last but not least, Harnesses Lightning. I liked when the crew of skeletons showed up. All right. Sounds good to me, my friends. That is Question of the Week. Like I said, if you want to get involved, make sure you're following us either on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. It doesn't matter. We're out there. Easiest way to find all of our socials, StarWarsTime.net. Just hit that website and you'll get yourself taken care of. All right, people. I think I might do it. I might do it for E340 of the SWTS. It's been real. Back-to-back weeks of killer guests. Fresh, right during an airing of new Star Wars. Never been done before in the Star Wars Time show, so it was awesome. I'm just going to keep the picture of my man Ravi up there. That kid has just left such a great impression on me. I can't say enough kind words about this young man, his family, and where I hope he ends up. I mean, this guy might be president one day. All right, mark my words. Might be president one day. And it's been nice, kind of. His team, whoever, they've been kind of letting us know that, hey, we see you guys still over the past week. And as someone that always needs his bucket filled and to feel seen. It's been nice to get those little notes from Team Ravi, so I appreciate that guy more than he probably understands at his age. But that was a core memory for me last week and this week, and another one of those life moments. It's like, you know what? Sweet. I'm glad I do this dumb shit. I'm glad I invest so much time down my basement thinking about Star Wars, talking about Star Wars, making content that seems people are starting to get to see a bit more. So it's been a fun ride with Skeleton Crew, but we're not done with it yet. Don't worry. Next week we'll come back, still talk some Skeleton Crew. We'll revisit our preseason predictions and wants. We'll get Nick's take on the finale, see how he's feeling. Hopefully he's not dead. And then I might have one more special Skeleton Crew episode planned for after that. I kind of want to do a longer form. What could happen next? With Nick, we'll do like a special topic thing maybe. So sub up, people. You don't want to miss a minute of the Star Wars Time show. And if you do miss the full show, it's always going to end up on YouTube, typically a few hours after we're done recording the live, and then it'll hit podcast platforms. Usually 12 to 16 hours after the live stream ends. So check us out. Hit us up over on StarWarsTime.net. That is our home base on the internet. Like I said earlier, easiest place to find all our socials and get linked up. We appreciate all the support out there. Those of you, if you're new here, if you've been here for a while and you're starting to like what we do and you think we deserve a little bit of bones, consider becoming a channel member, right? We want to unlock some more custom emojis for our channel members to use. So I think we need 3 more. We'd love for you to give it a thought, right? $1.99 is our lowest tier for a month. Some perks recently, they've gotten to ask these celebrity interviews questions that no one else can. And, just makes me happy. So, I'm like an arcade machine. Fill me up with quarters, people. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Divided. Divided is showing off for prospective channel members what you could start doing if you become a member of the SWTS YouTube channel. Unfortunately, when I fire it up on the stream, you can't see her custom Darth Vader icon, though, but that is another perk you get. That it's called the Vader Cat, and the Vader Cat progresses depending on how long you have maintained your membership. Appreciate you, Bat, as always, getting a good show from him. I'm getting my favorite emoji from League, the good old Golden Vader. I always know I did a good job. I'm trying to teach my daughter about wrestling, and we watched Raw last night on Netflix, which they've been pretty damn good. I'm not really in the know, so we're trying to get caught up with the season. But I'm trying to relate to her. It's like, hey, whenever you hear the crowd start going, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, or if it then is followed up with a, that was awesome, I've said that's the fans letting the performers know that they are killing it. Over here at the SWTS, it's our Golden Vader. So I appreciate those of you kind of making some deposits in this guy's bucket. All right, my friends. Hey, light-blinded fools, I sincerely appreciate that. Really do. Saying great show, join late, but we'll watch the rest back later. Hey, we'd love you to consider subbing to the channel. I don't remember seeing you here before, so I'm glad you're up in this. Yeah, we got the Thrawn emoji. Did you see that Thrawn kill? Here, I'll show it to you again. There you go. There it is. Look at that. We call him Tic Tac Thrawn over here, but he's up there. But light blinded, seriously, I appreciate that super chat. Seriously, that's awesome. All right, people, I got to get out of here. I'll just sit here and go back and forth with you for the next hour. I mean, that's how much fun I like having with this little community. So I do appreciate all of you. Marty, love you, pal. That was awesome. If you missed it, if you are coming here late, the first 2 hours of the shows, it was myself and Marti Matulis, a.k.a. Vane the Space Pirate from the Mandalorian and Skeleton Crew. You don't want to miss it. Check it out or listen to us when we hit podcast platforms tomorrow on Thursday, January 16th. All right, my friends, you know what to do about this time. There is always time for Star Wars time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you. Always.